This is S-4! Sit back, relax, and keep your eyes to the skies.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to S4. We're sitting here chatting. Welcome to S4, where we talk about the serious issues involving paranormal and current events, coming to you live from the S4 headquarters, the snowy headquarters, I gotta add, in the heart of the Cascade Mountains in the studio in Cape Horn, Washington. So real quick, it's real weird, because usually we get snow before Seattle. But everyone down south from us had snow like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, before we got it up here. I mean, even up in Marlmouth, they don't have snow.
They didn't get any at all.
I think they got some today.
Now, according to the one lady 3 hours ago, she still hasn't seen snow in Rockport.
Okay.
It's nothing.
See, that's what's weird. We've got, 6 inches, and it's still snowing a little bit, but it's supposed to go away. Anyway, tonight, it's February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day. You're going to hear some crazy stuff tonight about paranormal Valentines. And so we come to you with 6 inches of snow. We're going to start the show with Cole telling us what he's found with paranormal love stories for the first hour. And then we're going to discuss something that really doesn't get brought up much, the Men in Black. Are they real? Are they government agents? Aliens? Or something else? What's your thoughts? So, next week we have the Roundtable. That's always a fun show. And then the 28th, we're actually going to talk about the black-eyed children.
Yay.
Now, I'm going to remind you, we still have our fundraiser going until the end of February. You can find the fundraiser both on my profile on Facebook or in the Fourth Moon Paranormal group. We are also looking for team members. So we have 2 people so far that have asked for an application. You can just message me on Facebook and I'll get you an application. And I got a compliment this week. So some of our listeners love our format. Because, what I compare our format to is kind of like the fireside chats. We have our friends that come on the show every week, and we just sit and chat about the topics at hand. I like that format. So, glad we make you happy, folks, and that's why we appreciate our listeners. So, how's everyone doing tonight? Everyone staying warm? I know you don't have any snow yet, Barry, in Kentucky.
No, but I'm going to have it here in about 2 hours. It's freezing rain right now, and it's 25 degrees, been 25 degrees for the last few days, and I think it's going to stick around probably till Monday when it gets in the 50s. So we're going to warm up into the 50s. Woo!
I think we're going to get to the 40s.
Yeah, we're supposed to have...
I'm ready to start planting the garden, damn it. It can go away now.
Oh, yeah, it's been long enough.
Oh.
It's been long enough.
We got a while, guys.
Normally,
Oh, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
This winter.
I don't even think we're done with snow yet.
Yeah.
And do you have any snow up in the bunker?
I'm sitting here. It's about 36. It's kind of raining off and on. But unlike you guys, who are sitting inside where it's nice and warm, I'm sitting outside just like I am every week.
I know it.
yeehaw!
I know it.
You are the man.
You got to get your Bigfoot girlfriend to keep you warm.
Where's your Bigfoot girlfriend at, Joe?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. She's over here in the bushes somewhere, probably. Big pile of rocks over there. Every once in a while, I'll see something behind them, but you never know.
Right. All right, so Cole.
Yeah.
What do you find out about paranormal Valentines? I know you got some. So we got to put a disclaimer out here. If you have kids listening to the show tonight's really not the night for kids.
You got about 30 seconds to get them hell okay.
Yeah.
Get their ass in the bed, people.
Because yeah, some X-rated
This is gonna be
paranormal
explicit,
porn.
explicit.
So here's the deal, okay? I thought of this idea last weekend on the way home after a long night. I was thinking about things we could do for the show, and I want to start integrating little segments, just of us talking about different things. And this one, I thought this world was messed up. Apparently, we're not as bad as I thought, because this one was actually hard to search for. You always hear the weird stories about I fell in love with a train station, or I'm in love with this building, or I am marrying a dog.
All right.
So I thought there's got to be people out there that fell in love with some cryptid or ghost or alien.
I know y'all heard like 2 years ago about the woman that was having sex with a ghost, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that hit mainstream news.
So my teenage boys asked me how that would work.
I'm kind of curious about that my damn self.
Well, you got to go back to the 80s. Think of Ghostbusters. When Dan Aykroyd is sitting on the bed and they're run rampant. You know, they've been really busy, and this is right before they hire Winston. Mm-hmm. And he's laying in bed, and his belt starts to open, and his eyes cross.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, what? You release the ectoplasma?
Now you could use the ectoplasm as lube, but yeah.
Oh my God.
So on that,
Slimer! What?
let's start with the ghosts.
Okay.
Alright.
So
Woo! Ghost
this
sex.
is from India.com. It was written May 13th, 2020. And the title of it is, what? Man says he has been dating a ghost for 2 years, but fears she's cheating on him now.
Oh my God.
Oh no, Valentine's Day. So, this is in New Jersey. In today's bizarre news of the day, a man in New Jersey convinced that he is dating a ghost and says that he has been dating a ghost called Lisa for 2 years, who he did not previously know during her life. However, that is not the end of the story. Gary Denola, who has been in a committed relationship with Lisa for 2 years, says he's now facing problems in his relationship amid the lockdown. He's convinced that his relationship is on the rocks due to his fears his ghostly girlfriend is cheating on him. Gary explained how at the beginning of the lockdown, he and the paranormal spirit had lots of passionate sex and had more time than ever together. He even gave intimate details and said it's like your whole body is having sex. And since Lisa is a spirit, she's more flexible, which allows us to experiment with all sorts of new positions. But he laments how things have changed now and concerned that she is out seducing other men. He told the Daily Star Online, this past month, she's out all the time. Never tells me where she's going. Just says she's going out with friends. She could be anywhere with anyone. And I've always felt secure in our relationship, but lately we haven't been having so much sex. I'm worried that she's cheating on me. She says I'm being paranoid. I mean, I'm not crazy, am I? It just doesn't make any sense. I can understand wanting space, but something just feels off, he added.
Did that hit your Abby?
I don't know.
Dear Abby, what do I do about my ghost that I'm having sex with?
Gary,
Sounds like things are the same in the afterlife as they are in real life.
Well, I do have a suggestion for Gary, though.
What's that?
A binding spell.
I'll bind her to the house?
Yeah.
Don't use the sage.
A binding spell on a succubus. I like that.
Hi, Sherry. Barry. Sherry says hi. Sherry says hi.
Hey. Hi, Sherry. How you doing, dear? Great to have you here. Thanks for coming over.
So that is the only one I found for a ghost. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that's possible, even in the first place? Do you think someone can have that close of a connection with spirit?
Here's the thing: we've all heard about this. We've all heard about the succubus and the incubus. We know entities come in and have sex with humans. all the time. So is that possible? I think it could be. To be totally honest with you, yeah.
I'm not sure that a committed
Yeah,
relationship.
Yeah, but do you think the
would be
committed
something.
relationship,
No.
are like
You know,
No, absolutely.
or are they just one and done?
No, they're not one and done. They're,
No, there's
you
been
know,
some
some of the cases
succubus's that have stayed with
Some
people.
of the cases
for
I've
years.
worked have been continual, and it happens in UFO cases with aliens, and it also happens in same kind of case with the hauntings and succubuses and incubuses. So,
Right.
you know,
I think it's
And-
possible. Could you actually have a committed relationship with an alien? Some would think so. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember the name. Charles, help me out here, Barry. I know you remember the case. There's been a few cases where humans had sex with aliens.
yeah. In fact, I actually worked on one. And,
Did you?
Yeah, I did, and it was a very interesting case. Great case, in fact. Here inside Kentucky, and they had an ongoing. She had an ongoing relationship with a extraterrestrial that
Okay, well,
was
there's the alien case.
coming all the time.
I think it's totally possible to have an ongoing relationship with an extraterrestrial. Just saying.
I don't.
Again, a committed relationship, I don't see it. I don't see an alien latching onto one specific person. They're going to have sex with 11 billion humans. I mean, just saying.
Why
this
does
one
every
was-
alien have to be a gigolo?
Yeah,
I
well,
don't
you
think-
know, this was
it's-
a commitment because he actually put a tattoo on her.
Oh,
And
so he
it-
marked her.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, she was marked in this case, so it was very unusual and almost like a branded burn. It wasn't a tattoo-like thing. It was a almost raised up of flesh that looked like it was branded on there, but it came from the inside out.
So
Right.
you think like more like alien Stockholm syndrome?
See, that's the hard part. Is you have to watch the Stockholm syndrome to take effect there.
You know.
And for those that don't know what Stockholm syndrome, that's where you're abducted and you basically sympathize or empathize with your abductees or abductors, and you merge onto their side. It happens with terrorist cases frequently.
Quite often, yes, very often. Yeah.
To where you can be misconstrued as part of the terrorist plot because of how you empathize with them. And I do believe that happens with some of... I think that's where your contactees come from sometimes, not all of them, but I do think some contactees were abducted, got Stockholm Syndrome, and now they're all aliens are wonderful and whatnot.
Yes, yeah. Well, in this case, that was kind of like the case. These aliens were quite good, and but they had a weird agenda, which I took the. I had her. They wanted to do a speech. I had her do the speech, and I still have it available. One day I'll have to get it and play it for you.
All right. So what's the next case, Cole?
All right, so this one caught my eye a little bit, and Joe giggled pretty hard at that last one. This one, he ain't going to be able to help. So this one is from the Hollywood Gossip. It is a little old. It is from August 3rd, 2015, and hopefully they're still together.
I got underwear that old.
Woman claims to be in a sexual relationship with Bigfoot, trying for a baby with Sasquatch. Nancy Hogarth, a resident of Washington State. Not Florida, somewhat surprisingly.
Or Kentucky.
She claims that she is involved with Bigfoot sexually. Yes, she says she has been in a romantic relationship with the mythical Sasquatch since 2008. and they're trying for a baby no less. We're serious, Hogarth says. Bigfoot lives in Mason County, Washington, and that she first encountered him whilst tending to her marijuana grow. Must be some potent shit. Bigfoot was standing there eating all the buds off my plants, Hogarth recalled. At first I wanted to run because he was very scary. Also, she was doubly concerned as I thought he might eat all of my marijuana plants, and that's how I used to make a living. She was prepared to do what she had to do to protect herself and her livelihood, but that's when the story takes a big twist. I pointed my shotgun at him, and he put his hands up scared. That's when I looked down and noticed he had a huge erection between his legs. I hadn't gotten any in a while, and well, from there, it somehow turned into an adult movie. I don't know if he started it or I did. Either way, we know it ended well that first time Nancy and the Sasquatch met. He did me from behind, which felt great, she says. Their relationship only got deeper from there. And we're not just talking about penetration, people. We mean real-ass love. He is so sweet and caring, Hogarth says. He brings me flowers and mushrooms, holds me while we stargaze. The only downside is that he doesn't speak English. I have taught him how to say my name, but it's kind of garbled and he mispronounces it. Nobody's perfect, though. Hogarth says they're trying for a baby, though the fact that she's 52, as well as a whole interspecies thing, could make that difficult. Once I'm pregnant, Bigfoot, or John as I call him, and I are going to settle down and live a quiet domesticated life in my house, she says. Hogarth also says she's going to legally change her last name to Nancy Bigfoot, as you do, but will she reveal her man to the public? Nah. Hogarth says, and her reasoning is simple, to protect the one she loves and live a life free of intrusion like a true libertarian. Government scientists will just dissect him and try and turn him into a soldier to fight ISIS or something. You know how the government is. As for why she would try to go public with this story at all, if that's her belief, Hogarth's justification for that is equally straightforward. Now that marijuana is legal in Washington state, I don't have an income. So capitalizing on my boyfriend's fame is how I plan to make money. Good luck, kids.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
All right, I want to hear from Joe first. What's up, Joe?
There's so many ways to go on this, but I was just thinking, what happens when his relatives try to move in?
Well, Harry and the Hendersons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Is
he potty trained?
Actually, the one thing I got to think of it. Okay, interspecies. Okay, let's say it works, right? Now, Bigfoot. Well, they're pretty big, and I'm thinking about the whole birth canal process, and it might not work.
No,
you might have to do a cesarean, I guess.
Well, weren't they trying that in Russia? We were talking about that this last week.
Yes, it was in the 30s. The guy tried to make super soldiers. Mm-hmm. He was breeding apes with human women.
And apes
did not. They tried men with female apes. They didn't quite work.
But
that we know of.
Right.
That's the problem, though. A cesarean wouldn't work either, because at the same time, she's worried about the government coming in.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The first time they went for an ultrasound for a cesarean, they'd automatically call them.
Yeah. They'd be obligated to.
Yeah.
Oh, people have been having babies for thousands of years before there was ultrasounds.
Right. But not with a Bigfoot baby.
It'd be an interesting reveal party.
Oh, can you imagine your family? You're pregnant?
No.
You have a boyfriend?
Well, okay, let's go there. She was 50 what?
He was 52.
51.
She's 51 years old? And this was back in 2015, and we haven't seen no Bigfoot baby yet, right?
Nope.
I highly doubt she's going to be able to have a baby.
Yeah.
At the same time, this is 2015. We should have heard something about this.
Oh, absolutely. Already. BFRO would have been all over this.
Well, not just that, but not even with the baby, but if she was actually planning on making money this way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you'd have definitely heard about it.
This would have been all over Cairo, Q13, King 5. I mean, come on.
She's not a missing person now, is she?
No, I'm sharing the story to our Facebook page so people can read it themselves.
Yeah, have we heard from her since 2015?
Right.
But you look at the picture of her, she doesn't look like your typical pot dealer. She really doesn't. Like, even when, like, I know pot dealers that are that age, and they have a certain look, usually.
Uh-huh.
Most of us fit that look. She doesn't. So...
Well, that's why she was so successful in making her income that way.
Right? And then the government had to go and screw her out of that by legalizing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, she could upload some of that shit to YouPorn or something and be a millionaire. I mean...
Oh, absolutely.
They already have Bigfoot porn on the internet. Well, somebody told me about it anyway.
Don't quit your day job there, Joe.
So do you think that would fit under bestiality?
No. Ooh. I would think it would fit under interspecies erotica.
Okay. I can get on board with that.
Behind that?
That's just weird.
Yeah, you put your foot in your mouth on that one, Eric.
Chances of me coming to Washington is going to be nil and none now.
Don't lie, Barry. You're booking a plane ticket right now.
Oh, do you have any stories about anybody in the rake down there in Kentucky?
Are there any rake
Are you
relationships?
Rake relationships?
Kayla?
What? I ain't looking for no rake.
Hello?
I don't.
No.
You got any rake stories, Barry?
Guys, those are literally the only two ones I can find.
Love, rake relationships?
Yeah.
No, unless Carl's got one to know about.
I do not reveal my secrets.
Nope, don't have too many of the, I have talked to a few people who have had never put them in a sack.
There we go.
Huh.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I think we lost you for a minute there.
Yeah, I'm having an audio problem. I don't know what it is. It seems like the audio is going in and out, because I can't hear. Also, I said I have heard of several people, and
I keep hearing something
that have had their house and so forth like that, but visiting them and trading stuff with them and everything else, but not anything sexual at all.
Huh. Okay.
Not to take a dark turn on this, but I did hear a story one time. I was down in Texas, and it was a guy and a gal, and they were parked on a road and in the pickup truck, and basically they were found the next day or so, and the guy was killed. He was torn apart out in front of the truck. And the woman, they figured she might have been raped, but she looked like she'd been gutted by a trout. Like a trout,
Wow.
Basically torn up. And there was a rumor that maybe it was a Bigfoot, and he had sex with her. Of course, it's a big guy,
Yeah.
Just basically killed both of them.
And that was in Texas?
Yeah, I heard it was in Texas.
Well, things are big in Texas.
From the sounds of it, things are big in Mason County, too.
You're right, yeah.
Oh, God. I don't know, man. I mean, there's been stories for years about, like, sirens and people and different stuff like that. Like, throughout history, there's been
mermaids, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, all kinds of lore in that aspect. But
there's lots of stories with the American Indians where the females of the tribe were kidnapped by the Bigfoot.
Yes, by Bigfoot. Yes,
Yeah.
there are tons of those, and even some by giants. And also there was And again, you've got the ET phenomena, and maybe it's like a reason why we haven't heard from that is if Bigfoot is dealing with an interdimensional being, maybe they're living in another dimension, and she doesn't have that ability.
Good luck, Sherry. Sherry says, hot damn, she's heading to Texas.
Maybe the old alien movies from the 1950s had it right, and the aliens are here for our Earth women.
Yes, it could be.
Well, isn't there a movie called Earth Girls Are Easy? I mean...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was a great B movie.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm just saying that whole Patterson, what's the other guy's name?
Patterson Gillen?
Yeah, that whole film would have been different if Bigfoot was gay.
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
that would have been two guys running and screaming.
I'm still wondering about the guy in Texas and how he died.
Yeah.
Death by Oonga Boonga.
Or that would indicate Bigfoot's body.
Ooga booga. That's an old joke. I love it, though.
Oh, so happy Valentine's Day, folks. Yeah.
May your experiences be better than these two.
Stick with the humans.
Yes, exactly.
And if anybody has a goat man story, let us know.
A goat man. Or dog man.
I ain't saying anything about that.
There's plenty of goat men experience.
There's quite a few farmers that'll probably try and come out and say, yeah, we got a story for you. But it's not a goat man, it's just a goat. So,
where do you think goat man came from?
Well,
Man.
I was once in Joliet, Illinois, and I understand that there are some people up there that were in love with a sheep.
That's Montana.
Bad boys.
Yeah. Daddy.
Oh, no.
We got interference from something.
Sorry, the mothership.
Yes, that's it, exactly. I'm just trying to determine whose house is it over right now.
Well, we are about to talk
Not
about
here.
Men in Black, and yeah.
They were listening. They were just like, oh, man. These guys are getting a little too graphic with the interspecies erotica.
Right? Hey,
Right.
They're disclosing our secrets.
Golly,
It just hit me. You were talking about. We got the Bigfoot, and we got the Dog Man, we got the Sheep Squatch, and the Goat Man, and no one ever talks about a cat person.
Ooh.
There is one feline alien race, actually.
Halle Berry?
Oh, that's
I'm trying to. So they've seen the actually at East City Ranch here in Washington. They've actually had the feline race that comes down, according to some.
Yeah.
I had a case in Western Kentucky over by Murray that a gentleman said that he had had sex with a blue alien, female alien. It came and...
Aren't the Pleiadians supposed to be blue?
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
I don't know. It sounds like he just fell asleep to the Fifth Element.
That could
Sherry
be.
says, what about Chupacabra?
I couldn't determine if it was actually one of the Kentucky blue people that made it over there or whatever, so...
Oh, maybe.
And that could be too.
Well,
could very well be.
anybody who has, you can turn your skin blue. I mean, I wouldn't suggest it by any means.
It's
but
called
if you drink
asphyxiation.
enough silver, it will actually turn the pigment of your skin blue.
Or
It's not good for you in any way.
Or-
But there's lots of
Yeah, it
people
seals
who
off
do
the
that.
pores.
I can't
God.
remember where it was, but there was a story today about a factory where the local dogs were hanging out, and
Oh, yeah. I
Oh.
saw that.
their third time coming back, they're bright blue.
It's
from the chemicals that are in the factory, and now the local authorities are going in there because they're worried.
Oh yeah.
And, but yeah, like these dogs are coming back, and they are like Fairly blue.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, certain chemicals and heavy metal poisoning can do that to your skin.
Yeah.
It can change the pigment. Like freaking carrot iron can change you to being bright orange. So
It's not so much that the dogs are turning blue; it's that they taste funny now.
Oh, canine flesh just didn't taste the same with.
The story was in Florida, you're saying?
Yes. Oh.
And so, in answer to your question, Sherry, no, I've never heard of a chupacabra sex story. No.
No, I don't want to hear about it either. That would be awful.
I couldn't see that.
Too hard to catch.
Chupacabras are they're no.
well, aren't they known as goat
Well, you got the
suckers?
two different kinds. You got
Well,
you got the mangy dogs down in the Texas border.
Yep.
And then you got the weird spiky lizard things over in Puerto Rico.
Right, exactly, yeah. And you definitely wouldn't want to have sex with one of those. They'd probably bite you and then suck the blood out of you.
Well, chupacabra does mean goat sucker, so
Yep.
I mean,
yeah,
you got
it
something
does.
going there.
Oh,
Steve
yeah.
Irwin would have done it.
That
Guy was a bit of a weirdo.
You would be insanguinated as soon as you're done having sex. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like the Black Widow.
I think I know her sister.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. So Sherry's mother-in-law put blue food coloring in her son's bath when he was like 1. She thought it'd be fun bubble bath. His skin turned blue.
yeah.
You just make the best of a bad situation there and put a white hat on him. Then he's a Smurf.
Call him Blue Boy.
Yeah.
Boy blue.
Little Boy Blue. There you go.
Yeah. Oh.
So the Men in Black, though.
Sherry.
And then you would get visited by the Men in Black.
Wait till I see Sherry the next time I see her at an event. No.
Oh, shit. All right.
Yeah, oh boy.
All right. So let's get to the Men in Black.
Let's
I thought
hurry
they'd come to
up,
us.
too.
Huh?
I thought they'd come to us.
Second?
I thought they'd come to us. Isn't that the way that usually works?
Usually, yeah.
They're pretty hard to find, I hear.
Actually, there have been 2 cases where they actually did go shut down a radio host. They threatened
Right,
him.
that was the Vegas. Was that the Vegas? Was that the one in Vegas?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, or outside. It was in Nevada somewhere.
Okay, I gotta
That's what
ask, was that right before the storm area 51?
No.
Or was this a long time
No,
ago?
that was back in the 80s, I believe, on that one.
Bring it on, bitches.
Yeah.
And here's what gets me. So it wasn't really, and before we get to the Men in Black, the Rendlesham Forest case, they weren't Men in Black, they were actually government. But, you know, there's another case that we will talk about.
Isn't
that
the Men in
happened?
Black government?
Huh?
Isn't the Men in Black government?
I think there's 2 types. I think there are alien, or the ones that don't act human, the ones that are very pale, the ones that speak telepathically. I think there's 2 types.
I think they'd still need to be part government, though.
Or at least working
They
with
gotta
them.
have money somehow.
Well, I'm pretty sure
Aliens
if an
don't.
alien race came down and said, do this for me, you'd just be like, shit, and do it. I don't think you'd ask for like, okay, but only for $100.
You tell me to do things all the time, and I tell you only for $100.
Well, you know, I kind of look at the Men in Black as like the cleaners, you know.
Right.
And I don't think that they're. My dealings with them, they don't seem to be human in any way whatsoever. And so if they are working for the government, there are, you know, and I do believe that there is a team of government people and military that do work with going and with the My Lab situation and dealing with the aliens and the abductees.
The difference is, though, I think the government ones, they actually do have an ID, whether they're FBI, they do have they do have a form of an ID and say, look, I'm agent such and
NSA.
such with...
Normally NSA.
Right.
The ones that are now carrying NSA stuff, so yeah.
The other Men in Black...
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're government. I mean, I've got ID. I've got badges.
No, but the...
You don't need no stinking badges.
The thing is, most of these other Men in Black, all they have is a little badge-looking thing that says security.
Yeah, well, some of them don't even have, you don't even get an opportunity to see a badge.
No.
They just,
They're just watching you from the shadows and then you disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think that all these stories about the Men in the Black, they were more prevalent in years past because they didn't want anybody to get out there and tell anybody their story. But now, as soon as something happens to somebody, they go on the internet, the entire world knows, the story's out there, and going and visiting them and telling them to shut up isn't going to work because it's already out there.
Well,
Yeah,
the
just call
NIB
people
is...
nutcases and stuff and leave it at that.
Yeah.
Like, that guy's
Well,
crazy.
I had the weirdest encounter that I had, I was in, my mom had passed when we were in West Virginia, and we were doing some stuff, and we had to go to Walmart, and come out, and we see this flaming object in the sky, and I ran in real quick, got my camera, and I tried to take a picture of it, and my wife, Tawana, was there with me, and she's kind of like ahead of me just a little bit, and I'm taking this picture, and all of a sudden she says, "Whoa, did you see that?" And I went, "Yeah." A flash actually hit my camera, and I still have the camera. It is non-functional to this day. And so I never got a picture of this thing, but it was quite amazing, and it kind of made a U and then went back towards the town, and where we were at. Town's a very small town, and that next we go to Walmart after that and see another UFO in the sky, and then that next morning we're going to church, and we're going to head to breakfast before church, and we started heading downtown, and I see this guy in a black suit, black tie, white shirt, black hat, sunglasses, jaywalking across the street. Mm-hmm. And I'm making a turn, and I'm like going right in the middle of town, and I'm like going, that's a guy stay man in black, because what stood out on me is that he kind of had floods on, you know what I mean? The pants weren't that long, but
he didn't look right.
He didn't have any socks on. And his ankles and everything else were the grayest looking things I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
I mean, it just looked different,
Maybe he had gray socks.
No. Oh, no.
Well,
No.
and that's a common denominator with a lot of the cases we're going to be talking about tonight is, yeah. And to answer your question, Sherry, so that's the weird part about the Men in Black is oftentimes these cases that we're going to talk about tonight, in fact, the Men in Black came to them the next day.
Yeah.
And they hadn't talked to anybody, but they had a picture. Oftentimes they had this strange encounter. And so there's no way the Men in Black would have known who to go to. It was just a UFO sighting. There was a photo taken. But nobody was contacted. No government agency was notified. Law enforcement wasn't even notified. Nobody was told. They just show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Exactly and they know your name. Mm-hmm. They know everything there is to know about you. Mm-hmm. And this is before smartphones.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But not before.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the funny thing with this case...
what was the first thing to go into space after one man?
The Black Knight satellite.
Oh. Oh. Well, the monkey was. I thought the monkey was the first thing to go in space.
Yeah,
No, after they were able to get the guy to go around and orbit the Earth, what was the second thing to go up? A probe, right?
Right.
Was it a probe?
Or was it the first satellite?
Ah, good point.
Was it the first satellite with the ability? Because all you need, like, we're looking at, for a while, you and Eric were looking at a way to put a satellite together that can detect radio waves.
Right. Okay.
If you have a powerful enough cone up in space...
So when was that put up, though? 1960s, right?
Yeah.
How would you explain the 1940s cases?
Well, like you were talking, there's two types of men in black.
Well, you know the weird thing
We didn't have
about
that
the Men in Black
technology.
Uh-oh.
is that if they are working with the ETs and everything else, or if they are shape-shifting ETs that dress up and drive around in vehicles and so forth like that, it is very possible that they're being monitored, they're monitoring you from a spaceship or some other way, with a lot different technology.
Right.
Even though the technology that we have today, maybe in the 40s we've had a greater technology, because one of the cases that I was working with, he was a satellite operator in the early 90s, and the satellites that he was using with the government was unheard of compared to what we knew back then.
Right.
Well, so here's something that I've always kind of wondered about the Men in Black. We always talk about the fact that these Men in Black show up and they have a hat on to cover their head. They usually have some kind of a suit jacket on that goes all the way down to the hands. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they have gloves on. So their full body is covered, and most of the time when you hear about the cases, they were wearing dark sunglasses at the time, too.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So we've also talked about the fact that greys, for instance, can mask themselves to certain animals and different things, but the only thing they couldn't really hide would be their eyes. Mm-hmm. Well, if they have dark sunglasses, and sunglasses in the 40s and 50s were huge.
Right.
If they could look enough human... I mean, and that might have been what you saw, was one of those gray alien legs. Who knows?
Yeah, well, the weird thing about it is that they are also, their dress appearance has never changed. They're not the style people. They are all the same. I mean, that's when you look at one and you go, that's a man in black. Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, he's wearing a suit from the 50s. I mean, that is his look. Skinny tie, the whole 9 yards. And,
if it blends in and nobody really notices, why change the look that you've already accomplished? I mean...
Well, yeah, we go through retro phases, but, I mean, truthfully, they do kind of stick out like a sore thumb. You just don't.
Right.
You just don't. And this guy did. And, I mean, I pulled around and found the quickest parking spot, and I crossed the street where he was going into, and there was an antique shop. It was a Sunday morning, and the antique shop was closed. And he was standing right in front of this antique shop, right in front of the door. And he looks at me, and I'm just hightailing it that way. I'm barreling down his... I'm coming to him. And then I probably got 10 feet away from this guy, and he backed up into the doorway farther where I couldn't see him. And when I navigated that 10 feet, there was nobody there. And the only place he could have gone was inside that, through that door or some other way. The door was locked. I was peering in and through that the whole 9 yards, never saw a thing. Walked around the whole building, walked around the back of it looking for this guy, and never, ever saw one sign of him at all. I mean, he just vanished into straight air.
So you said when you saw him by a door. by a typical like building door?
Oh yeah, like a door.
How tall was he then? Like, did he go all the way up to the door?
He was probably about 6 feet tall.
Yeah, and that's common. So some of the commonalities with almost all the MIB, not all of them, but a good majority of them, they happen after an encounter. But not just, so you see a UFO, you get a picture of it, you draw a sketch of it, and even researchers, they've actually gone to people that showed interest in UFOs, like a ufologist. They've threatened ufologists as well. If they get too close to a case, there's a case that they don't need to be investigating, you have the Men in Black show up.
Yeah.
Second, lips don't often match the words, so they'll say something, but their lips don't move.
Exactly.
Or their lip,
or else,
and it's not telepathic.
they're still talking and their lips aren't moving. They start moving their lips and then they stop and they are still talking.
It's kind of like you're watching a movie with subtitles, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it also kind of gives you that feeling: are they actually telepathic? So you hear it, and then you're watching a AI or something like that right in front of you. We've had some dealings with them, unfortunately, for what I do and where we go and everything else. I've had so many different weird encounters with things, and also abductees and other people have been haven't reported yet, but they get a weird call from the government about tell me what you saw, or else they get a white van or a black SUV out front of their house right afterwards for a day or two. I have a case that's always ongoing right now. And this gentleman has had them sitting in cars. They have pulled up at his driveway, have threatened him, have done all kinds of different things. Actually got out of the car and hit him. They came out and he had the stick in his hand, the small flashlight-looking thing that fits inside their palm of their hand, and brought him to his knees.
Like a neuralizer.
Exactly.
Real quick, Sherry, we will get to the answer to your question. It's coming, believe me. She wants to know what are the Men in Black capable of doing to someone if they don't. So some people have died. Some people disappear.
Many people have died.
Yep.
Many people have died. And that's one of the things you hear about it, and I don't know, there was at one point, there was a gentleman's story. I don't know if you guys ever saw it or not. There was a story of a man that was actually a government person who said he was a man in black. Do you remember that story?
Oh, Richard Doty.
No.
You talking about Richard Doty? No? Okay.
No. It was an older man, and he had killed people and all this other stuff, and he was living in, I'll have to look it up. I can't remember it. It just popped into my head when you said that. And supposedly, it was kind of like a story. I had a man in black living at my house as a boarder for a while. And he was a retired man in black.
Well, there was a story that I read. I can't even remember. I've read so many of them lately. Where he told somebody to pull a coin out of their pocket.
Yeah, we'll get to that case.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
That's one of the famous cases. So another thing, they have pale skin, almost non-human-like, like an ashen skin, real pale, doesn't look like a human. In some cases, no hair or eyebrows.
Right.
They almost always. There's been a couple cases where they don't, but they generally have a very threatening demeanor. You'll get the feeling of fear upon their presence, or even if they don't approach you, you'll have this impending fear that you'll feel. The car and clothes often don't fit the era, kind of like what you were saying earlier.
Right.
It's 2021, and you're going to have a 1950s Cadillac pull up.
Yeah, or else you're going to make anymore. They're using different kinds of vehicles, but the Men in Black always seem to be either in Marquis or Crown Vics. And
I think they've upgraded to the black SUVs, haven't they?
Oh yeah, black SUVs is definitely the thing. There for a while there was white SUVs, and that's one of the weirdest things that's happened to me. I have two things on my desk here that for a long time when I would go to cases, my GPS would screw up. I would go to talk to abductees, and they'd talk about helicopters being over them and all this other stuff, and being visited by a Man in Black. And on my way back off of a case, my GPS would just like take me way off the road. And in one case, it took me off the road, and I get on this expressway, and I'm on the expressway, and I'm going, okay, great, super. Right. And it's like going, wait a minute, you got me going the way that I don't want to go because I got to make a stop down I-65, and you got me going in another direction. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like going, ooh, and as soon as I realize that, I get pulled over by a highway patrol. And when I get pulled over by the highway patrol, he pulls up behind me at an angle, and then a black SUV pulls behind him, and a white SUV pulls in front of me. And the white SUV and the black SUV, the people never get out of the vehicle. And the trooper pulls me over, and then, I carry a weapon, and I show him my thing, and he said, well, that gives me reason to search your vehicle.
Huh.
And I'm like going, no, it doesn't.
Right.
And I decided to go the best way, so he brings me to the back of my pickup truck, and I've got my hands on the back of the back deck, and he searches my vehicle, comes back and goes, I've already given him my license, all that other stuff, and he goes to the car, comes back, and I used to have this this vehicle. I had a Night Stalkers thing behind it, and it had ghosts on it, and a UFO, and
Right.
Bigfoot, and all that stuff, right? And he gives me back my license, and I says, he says, so we're not going to ticket you. The reason why I pulled you over is that I couldn't see if your plates were expired or not. I said, what?
Right.
You searched my vehicle, the whole 9 yards. So I get in my truck, and I'm going to get in my truck, and he yells at me. He goes, hey, man, stick with the ghost stuff, because that UFO stuff you don't want to play with. I get in my truck, and I had a coffee mug in there with the top that was secure and holding there. It was full of coffee. And he had opened it and poured coffee all in the center console of my pickup truck. So I'm like going, mother gosh. So I'm kind of upset. So I get in the truck and I go to the next exit and get out and I go into the store and grab some napkins and everything else and start cleaning up my truck. And then in the middle of my console, underneath all this coffee, I find two weird balls that no one is able to tell me about.
You still got them?
And they weren't in my truck beforehand or anything else, but I have them sitting in a container on my desk right now.
Oh, you need to get them checked out.
Well, that's the problem. I don't have any place to check them out because, as we've talked about before in the show, when there are
any place you send them, they're going to disappear.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. You
we'll come get them
back. All right, I've got them here.
That'd be a road.
Other things you may want to look at also because, that's when we were talking about it'd be nice to be able to have a lab. And but I have these weird stones or seeds or whatever here with me. And I'm cleaning up the stuff and find them, and I'm like going, those weren't in my truck. I've never seen those before.
Yeah,
so I don't know if he put them in there or whatever, but that's what.
That's why we need a spectrometer.
Yeah.
Try analyze metals and whatnot.
And the bad thing about it is I tell people these stories, and some people have been with me when it happens. And so they are able to validate it.
Right.
But it's just amazing is the things that happened. At one point with Men in Black, I had this weird paper that kept on coming to my house, and it was outside. And I would go outside and I would throw it in the trash every time. And I was like going, that's not my paper. And I was getting the paper. I said, I don't want this thing. So I threw it in the trash. And then one day I'm at home and a black SUV pulls in my driveway. And I swear to you, a stack of Bibles 10 feet tall, that the doors open up and a man and a woman. This was a female, and this is the first time I've ever seen a female MIB.
There's only been one other case where there were a female MIB that I could find.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you that they parked at the end of my driveway, and I thought I was hallucinating. I've never seen a person get from the end of my driveway to my front door that fast, and it looked like the feet were dragging the whole way.
Right.
I mean, it was like she wasn't walking. It was that weird. And they're ringing the doorbell, and they're standing outside, and I'm like going, I'm not going to answer it. I'm not going to answer it. And then I got this thing like going, I better answer the door. I mean, it's like going to answer the door. I answer the door. And do you know what she tries to hand me?
The paper.
Watchtower.
The piece of paper?
This paper. Yeah, this paper. You are supposed to have this paper. No, I am not, and I am not taking it from you.
Right.
And she says, take the paper. No, I am not taking the paper. I will not take that paper.
No.
Right? Die of arsenic poisoning or something.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, we have to go to our first break already for the night. We will come back. We will continue our list of these commonalities. There's about 7 more. And then we'll actually start talking about some cases. And we're only talking about 20 cases throughout the last 60, 70 years of Men in Black. But, these go back a lot longer than that. And we'll discuss that as well. So stay tuned for the second hour.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
And welcome back to S4 as we are talking about the Men in Black. And it is so much fun.
Is that what we're talking about?
So, moving along, and then we'll actually get into a lot more stories. I want pictures of the rocks you've got too, Barry.
They're right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just sent them.
The rocks too?
They're coming.
They're coming.
Yeah.
All right, so we hit pale skin. Threatening demeanor. The cars enclosed that don't fit the era, which that's a hit and a miss actually, because they try to get more modernized, I think. Sunglasses and large brim hats. I believe all of them usually have sunglasses and large brim hats.
They're allergic to the
Some
sun.
of them are not as large as the other ones. Some of them have some of them are like a 2-inch rim, and some of the styles are different. Some of them are pinched really close up at the top and short, like the 50s style, and then the others have the hat that is a little bit wider rimmed and looks more like a fedora.
Those are cone heads.
Hey, when you saw the chick, did she have like a floppy hat on, or did she have the same type of dress as the guys?
She had the same dress as the guys.
Okay.
So they often... go ahead.
Yeah, and it was very, 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 very strange. And what was weird is she got back to the vehicle. One stood out front of the black SUV by the headlight, and she came to the door, and then she got back, and man, by the time I shut the door and went to look out the front window there, they were already gone, and never saw them on the side of the street or anything else. Didn't see them go up the street because they had a pretty good view of the street. I lived on a dead-end road that had off of a dead-end road.
Right.
So they had to make a special trip to come kind of see me because people just didn't do that. So.
And here's what's weird too. They often move stiffly, like they're not used to walking.
Yes.
And there's been a couple cases where they're off the ground. They're like levitating, floating.
Well,
essentially
that's kind of like the way that she made it to the door. I'm telling you right now, I've never seen anything like it.
Real floating or Chris Angel floating?
Huh?
Real floating or Chris Angel floating?
Real floating.
Oh.
Like 2 inches off the ground.
Like real floating stuff.
They can appear and disappear in a blink. So there was one case, or probably, I think more than one case, where they didn't even knock on the door. They were just behind the individual in their house.
Mm-hmm.
They steal your photos, documents, and other evidence. There's been cases where they saw a man in black across the street. They went somewhere, they came back, their house was ransacked, their photos were gone, all the evidence was gone. They know your name, your address. They know everything about you and what you've experienced. Mm-hmm. And you haven't talked to anybody. Mm-hmm. There have been results of death and disappearance. Shows shutting down. UFO hunters. Perfect example. Bill Burns was actually called by a mysterious guy that told him, you guys are talking too much. Your show is not going to be on the air anymore. And he hadn't even talked to the producer yet. Bill pretty much told the guy, yeah, whatever. And, well, guess what? Their show went off the air. And he's not the only one.
Right.
The interesting thing was when that happened, that show had the highest ratings on, I believe it was the History Channel.
Yeah, it wasn't even like it was a show that was diving. I mean, I can see that,
Yeah, UFO Hunters. UFO Hunters was extremely a great show.
Producers cut shows all the time if they're not getting the ratings, but UFO Hunters, I mean, yeah. So
yeah, they were getting some good stuff. It was good too, and I also think that they had If I remember correctly on that story, I think there was something about them with a underwater base that they were trying to go to.
Autech.
Yeah, well, no, this was out off of Cuba.
It's Autech. It's a base that's off of one of the. There's a military base out there, and there's and it's near one of the big trenches. So there's something out that's deep. That's what they were examining, and then boom, the show's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the Atlantic Underwater something or other base.
French. Well, yeah. Well, there's this one was. There's Altec, which runs off the shelf, and then there's these wires that they talk about, like cables that go down there, and then deeper than we can even run cables to. So I don't know how they got cables there. I don't know where they go to.
Right.
But yeah, very odd, very strange stuff. I've got to say.
So, does this only happen with the UFO and alien field? Have you ever heard of a Bigfoot report ever having Men in Black visit them?
Only when the Bigfoot is seen during a UFO case or something like that.
Okay. What about hauntings?
No, never seen them with hauntings, even though I will tell you that I do get a lot of black SUVs by Octagon Hall, and many have seen them there, and they seem to watch us. Actually had a helicopter come down one time, and
but that'd be the question: are they following you, or are they following the haunting?
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, the property is very enriched with a lot of different things. I swear that there's different things that can go on there.
Right.
But
and we also know there's a lot of crossover. You know, and that's what pisses me off about the paranormals. The haunting field of the Ghostbusters essentially think that's all the paranormal is, whereas we believed Bigfoot, cryptids, UFOs is all paranormal, and there's crossover in all of it. So, I'm not surprised. That's why I do think the Men in Black are a UFO and abduction phenomenon situation, not with ghosts and spirits, which leads more to is Men in Black alien. And I still think there's two types. I do think the government kind of fits that bill to an extent, but the government will come in usually, not always, usually with a government ID and say, hey, I'm with the FBI, or hey, I'm with the CIA, or hey, I'm with the NSA. Unlike these guys that just act like they're above the law. We'll get to it here in a little bit, but you have that whole battle cruiser, a whole Navy ship that witnessed a UFO, and the commander of the vessel actually reported it back to the head of the Navy, who told him, under no certain terms, you're not to talk about it. Get back to land now. And they weren't even allowed off the boat. They were left on the boat. A bunch of Men in Black came onto the boat, took all of their cameras, because all these sailors were taking pictures of this UFO, and all of their cameras were confiscated, and they were all threatened under no certain terms. You'll ever talk about this UFO. You'll never ever talk about the Men in Black that came on this boat, and they didn't talk about it for 30 to 40 years. And that's how anyone found out about it, because 30 to 40 years later is when some of them actually started coming out and saying, hey, the Men in Black came to our boat.
Right.
And that's what pisses me off, because you've got the case also where a soldier witnessed a UFO on a base in Utah. And I have to look at my notes. I don't remember if he took a picture of it. But he was actually pulled in by a military officer that was not his, and taken to a room. And a man in black came in and said, "You didn't see anything, and you'll never talk about it. And if you value your life, you'll never say a word." So here's where I have a problem, because if some man in black, as a soldier, pulled me into a damn office and threatened me, I'd say, "Where the hell is my first sergeant? Where the hell is my command sergeant major? And where's my commander? I want them here now."
Exactly.
Soldiers have rights, not civil rights like we do. Their First Amendment's gone. Their Second Amendment, to an extent, is gone. We sign away our rights when we join the military. That's just a sad reality. It is what it is. But I'm sorry, when it comes to some dumbass that you have no clue, who hasn't shown you any kind of ID, identified themselves, and is going to threaten you, no, you have every right to your commander being right there too.
Right, you do.
There's no way in hell. And as a soldier, no, you're not going to tell me what the hell to do if I don't know who the hell you are. That one kind of hit a nerve.
But I think there's those times when, when you're looking at something that you are definitely seeing something totally unusual.
Mm-hmm. So, let's see here. Which one do we want to talk about first?
Purple.
There are so many. And, folks, do your own investigation. Oh, my God. We've got 20 cases. We could have gotten into another 30 to 40.
Oh, for sure.
But real quick, I want to go to the Middle Ages with the plague.
That's impossible, Eric.
I know. I don't want to go back to the plague anyway.
We're there.
We are.
Yeah, we are
but,
there.
We talk about, there's a case in 1923, 1924, but was he really a man in black or was he a government agent? Because the guy identified himself as a government agent.
Why can't he be both?
He could be.
That's the thing. Like we're kind of set on defining the two as separate entities, but just like you said, there was two different types. What if it's all one interconnected? Like the Men in Black has government agents that work for them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I fully believe that too. Look at the State Patrol.
Eric, they gave you a ticket. Calm down. That doesn't mean they were Men in Black.
No, I'm talking about Barry. Barry had a State Patrolman pull him over, but the SUV guys didn't even get out.
Yeah.
And it's the State Patrol
that
that left
to me a few times too. I got to tell you. I mean,
it's a State Patrolman that gave you his balls. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't advertise that too much.
Yeah, please don't. Oh, golly.
But no, there's got to be some. My argument there would be, honestly, I do believe they started out as an alien entity.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say entity, I mean government entity. They are part of an alien government.
Well,
but
what if...
I think they have agents from every government on Earth.
Oh, I'm sure. But what if, too, they aren't alien? Well, some of them have to be because they don't look human. But we all talk about this secret government that's basically a cabal over our government, Canadian government, a world government, essentially. And, you hear about the secret space program, and they're all conspiracies at this point, unless you want to follow the work of, I can't remember his name now. But we'll look at David Icke, for example. Look at, I'm talking about, Barry, the one that was talking about the base on Mars. And
right, exactly. Well, there's been...
I can't remember his name.
Well, you know, there's been so many people that have talked to about bases on Mars. Even Edgar Mitchell mentioned the thing about the monolith on a outside of on a small moon of Mars.
Right.
You remember that? You know.
Yeah.
And Corey Good has mentioned a lot about the moon.
Yeah, Corey Good. That's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah. So there are very many different types of people. And then you have the people who talk about the 20 or 15 and back, or 20 and back. Have you ever heard of those?
Who? Say that one again?
What they call 15 and back or 20 and back. And those are people who work in the military who are somehow in basic training or something like that. They're pulled out within 2 weeks. They're taken in and they sign an agreement to go on a special case. And what they do is they go in for, it's a 20-year, I'm going to say 20. I can't remember if it's 15 or 20. I think it's 20.
Right.
20 and back. That's what it's called. And
okay.
yeah, what they do is they go in, they are transported through time, they spend 20 years, and they come back, and it's 2 weeks later, and the people in there, they look the same, the whole 9 yards, and the people go, "Where have you been for the last 2 weeks?"
I never encountered any of that.
Those stories are out there by the gobs too. It's very.
But to be honest with
Yeah, I've
you,
heard that story.
To be honest with you, I joined in 89, 90, and I wasn't a paranormal investigator. I wasn't even looking for that stuff. So if it happened, I was oblivious to it anyway. So I wouldn't have noticed.
Right. Yeah, you have to just notice it if you did. I mean, if you saw somebody who was gone for 2 weeks and then came back, you know.
Right.
You may remember that, but that's about.
Okay, so can I ask then, do you think that there is a connection between the Men in Black and the MyLab?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I do. I definitely believe that.
And that may be the source they actually come from. If you really want to dig deep into it, and we will be talking my labs probably in either March or April. But how far back do you know of that my labs go?
Seems to go back.
They really started hitting the mainstream ufologists in probably the 1990s, correct?
Yes, but I think that there is. I mean, and I have talked to abductees that were been back longer than that, and you know, there's abduction cases and so forth. I've got a tape on it, and I truly believe that one of the interviews that I did, excuse me, on the Sanford case here in Kentucky, may have had my labs involved in that also.
Okay,
it was quite interesting.
Do you think that maybe they only send the actual Men in Black out if they can't get to you another way? I mean...
I think that what they do is they actually get to you, and then some people decide to talk, and I have a case that is that way now. And he sees more of them. You know, I've been on that his property. His wife has witnessed them coming to the house. He's had my labs, and he's also had. He's watched all the time by some kind of federal government. He gets phone calls telling him not to talk to me, or that we're going to be threatened. And that's the weird case that I did have when we were going up to a special tower that he wanted me to show me that the military was observing. And UFOs were seen over this tower, and they seemed to be following a line of these towers out that way, which may be of some interest. And that's where we had our other occasion where we left out of there, and we were just feeling really weird. And it wasn't but a second, I got followed by a Crown Vic, and we actually thought we were going to die. I mean, that was he was behind us, pushing us down a mountain in eastern Kentucky that we could have definitely had some severe problems at. And he veers off, and we go down the hill, and I keep on going, I know he's coming back, I know he's coming back. And the next thing I know, I'm in his driveway. And that was a weird case. But, it's just not me, folks. I mean, I think everybody who is boots on the ground, or everybody who gets out and investigates these cases and does these things are subject to it. A lot of the, I've talked to several investigators that have had the same type of stories and the same things in our watch and have had things happen. They just don't want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. So the first case we're going to talk about tonight is Frank Edwards. And, so Frank Edwards was a radio host. He got a warning. He actually died of quote-unquote heart failure with actually no signs. He had, usually you don't just die of heart failure. You have some kind of indicator you've had heart problems in the past, high or low blood pressure, something.
There's that guy who is like the healthiest guy in the world, and he died of a heart attack. Nothing beforehand.
Was he a ufologist?
No.
Okay.
Friend, he literally, he did infomercials for different,
Bam!
No, he did infomercials for different, fitness things. Mm-hmm. And he just, out of nowhere.
So you're saying this could be a quinky dink? Maybe
it's a possibility.
Oh, no,
if you have a murmur that they haven't caught.
Our hearts suck.
Mm-hmm. It does.
They're weak.
They are.
If you get punched in the wrong place,
it's a bad show.
Over.
Friend. But, continue.
So, we have cases of 7 different ufologists that have been outspoken that have died. I don't have a list of their names. I didn't go that deep. Some died from suicide. One died of an ankle sprain. When do you die of an ankle sprain? But
Kayla?
Yeah.
Okay, I can honestly tell you, I almost died of my ankle being sprained. But it's because I sprained my ankle, and it caused a blood clot in my ankle.
And her cousin died because she broke her leg.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It
can happen.
It can happen.
I agree.
But awkward. Happens very rarely, and you usually have a history of some kind of blood disorder or something.
Right.
Maybe this is just all the ufologists that ate a lot of Cheetos.
That could be. You never know. But then you got Albert Bender, 1953. UFO researcher that wrote a report for Space Review. Claims he was visited by Men in Black. Shut down his entire involvement. And I'm sorry, it takes a lot for a ufologist. I know you're one of them, Barry. But if some man in black came to you and threatened you to burn all your reports, would you?
Would I burn all my reports? No, I wouldn't.
I think it depends on what they threatened. Because if they threatened my life, I wouldn't. If they threatened my children's,
right,
I definitely would.
Right. Absolutely.
I wouldn't.
And they know that.
Well,
they'd be on the show the next weekend because they'd be tied to this chair that whole frickin' week.
Right?
Screw that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You want me to
Alright,
burn everything? We're going to talk about it.
All right. I guess we're not shutting it down no matter what. Right?
Nope.
Okay. Cool. It's okay. I got connections.
But they are very intimidating, and most of the people, and they bug the heck out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And look, he still has let's take this abductee, for instance. He still has my lab things happening to him. He gets abducted, and what does he see when he's there? He's in an underground base, not with a lot of, and there's always a mixture of military or what he would consider to be a human figure with a military cut, the whole 9 yards there.
Right.
Talking with him, and also going to the X thing. And then if he starts sending me pictures, or if he talks to me and does work on it and continues to come on, it comes on a radio show, then he gets phone calls and he gets visits from these MIBs. And he is continually threatened. And sometimes he is threatened to the point of, and he has had health problems since this, cancer, different types of stuff, and it's sad. I mentioned my good friend at the beginning of the show. She was a boots on the ground investigator, just the most special person. I've worked several cases with Angelia Shear, and out of nowhere, all of a sudden, she gets a brain tumor. Mm-hmm. And then passes extremely quickly. Not saying that is that's the case, but I will tell you that at one point we talked about it. So I mean, it was just odd. Came out of nowhere, and it does that kind of thing. Just the same way as when. And it's funny when you look at Senator Reid, when he was talking about, when ATIP first came out, and saying he was involved in that.
Right.
What did he come down with? He came down with brain cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and that seems to be a commonality. A lot of them also get mysterious cancers and tumors and
A lot of suicides.
a lot of quote-unquote
A lot of
suicides.
Right, exactly.
Wasn't there a governor of, I believe, New Mexico who decided he wanted to look into the UFO thing and was making a big stink about it in the government? All of a sudden, he kind of croaked.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of his name right now.
And that's common. So,
it's probably going to happen to me because, I've been sending you some pictures.
Right.
I looked to see what pictures there were. You got 2 pictures. I sent you about 8.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
And they said they all sent.
Email them to me. And whatever other
I've got 2.
Whatever other mysterious stuff you've got, take pictures and send it to me. Because that kind of goes with Sherry's question. So what if you sent evidence to other people? Do they know that too? And are they going to go after them then? And how do they know this stuff? So, one, I wouldn't ever send evidence to other people through mail. If I was to send evidence, I would do it in person. And do they know that? Absolutely.
Well, if they're watching
Hey,
you.
we
I
have
don't
this
think they have to watch you. Huh?
Yeah, well, I think that they are aware of what you have. I mean, they've been in my house. I've had my neighbors talk about, why was there 6 FEMA cars? I said, how do you know they were FEMA? I had FEMA on the written list. I said, I've never seen a FEMA car that said FEMA on the side.
No, they have trailers that say FEMA on the side,
Right,
but do they have little
exactly.
cars? I have never seen them. I'm sure they
I've
do,
seen
though.
Cars, like small cars with the FEMA, just like it says, or it doesn't say FEMA on it, it has the FEMA logo.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
I've had
because
some
so
weird
FEMA owns property right behind Cole. So the FEMA does come up here because it's a floodplain.
Yeah, they buy out
Yeah.
all the properties that flood every year. That way, other people can't buy them.
Right.
Which I don't mind at
Yeah.
all.
Right.
Yeah.
It keeps people
Makes
from
sense.
building houses, and then, yeah.
But do they
and-
drive a car that has a FEMA sticker on the side that says FEMA?
It has the logo. And Izzy just said FEMA does have labeled vehicles, but yeah. So it could have been
Yeah.
FEMA, but what's FEMA doing raiding your house? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, there's 6 of them, but I mean, and I had another friend go by and he says, you live in this dead-end street and everything else, and then there were 6 FEMA cars as I was driving to your house, and I was talking to him on the phone. He says, I just got passed by 6 FEMA vehicles.
right.
So, I don't know. I've had some weird stuff happen to me.
Aw, they're
So-
just playing with you.
Right? They have a little
Yeah,
fun.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I've experienced it. It's not fun. It's not a joke, but it is those type of things that make you go,
So, Joe, you got
Yes.
Men in Black that just pop up into your house, and they say, you're going to stop looking at Bigfoot, you're going to stop looking at UFOs, or we're going to kill you. Or we're
Oh,
gonna
they
go after
wouldn't
your-
get that far.
Yeah,
Okay.
they said you.
Someone just pops up in my house, it's going to be a brawl right away.
True.
No one comes into my house and threatens me. It wouldn't work.
They said you, and then they
Now,
died.
luckily, I've never had any interaction with Men in Black or government vehicles or anything. I mean, unless they use the little, flashy memory thing on me.
Oh, the
Neuralizer.
neuralizer. Yeah.
The neuralizer, yeah.
Paralyzer. Right.
So let's switch it up, and then we'll get back to some cases. But Men in Black. So I binge watched all 4 of the Men in Black.
And you still couldn't remember the name of the freaking neuralizer, really?
Yeah. I've got notes all around me. What if that movie was based on, and we've talked about it on the show before, but a lot of movies are based on some form of fact. But do you think, and we all know there's aliens here, and we talk about that on the show all the time, but do you think Men in Black are simply here to keep the humans from knowing fully what's going on?
No.
No?
No.
I think if anything, that show was to make you less afraid of them and more open to the fact that they're coming to talk to you.
yeah.
But at the same time, that can't be all of, they can't be just a horrible agency towards humans that, make us forget what we're talking about, make us give up what we're talking about, that kind of thing. They can't just be that.
Do you think they threaten Bigfoot?
I honestly think they are exactly what they show in that movie a little bit. I think they are customs.
Customs?
Yeah.
Well, those 4 movies are interesting the way they portrayed everything. But if you really want to look at it in TV, one of the best things I ever saw it was actually hilarious, but it was on the X-Files. And they were good at portraying stuff that's really going on. And they had 2 Men in Black show up, and it was Jesse Ventura
Yes,
and
that's
Alex
true. The
Trebek.
X-Files was a great show.
And that was a great episode.
Yeah.
You're going to make me start binge watching X-Files, ain't you?
Oh, yeah. I know
That's
the
a
name of the
great show.
episode, too.
I love X-Files.
That's a great show. So you think you think they're customs?
I think in a way they are customs. I think that some of the things that we have happen are people breaking custom laws.
And we're
Not
with,
people.
Well, that
entities,
may be the
entities.
reason.
I think it's more
One,
along the lines like what everybody thinks they are. They're telling people to shut up, and they don't want everybody talking about it. Which I
Right.
think is it's a hard sell nowadays because of the internet.
well,
Any
no, not
experience
just
somebody
that.
has, bam, it's out there.
Not,
Or they'll be on
Joe,
a podcast or something like this talking about it.
but Joe, it's kind of hard not to talk about it when recently you've got the Pentagon coming out saying, "Guess what? We've got alien craft, not from this world." And even more recent, within the last couple of days, you've got even more files being released.
But that's part of my issue with that. Okay, I honestly think that they are a true government agency.
Okay.
For the reason that the Pentagon and everyone is coming out and starting to say, hey, this is something that's real. Mm-hmm. They're addressing it. Why would they address it?
Well, the same reason that they address terrorists once they're actually here. If there's something that's going to happen, they need to let you know ahead of time.
No.
Somewhat.
They need to put money into it. It's always about money, guys.
Whatever.
True.
Always.
Right.
They need to put money into it. And in this day and age, it is 10 times harder to hide money for a government agency.
It's not hard to hide money if it's not actually part of the government. I think most of it's been pushed over into private industry. That way you can't FOIA request them. You can't check the congressional budgets to see where the money is going. It's all private companies. And say there's a private company that, say, living in an area or testing in an area, and somebody sees something that they're doing, yeah, they're going to send their goons over to scare the crap out of some people. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I have no problem with that at all. But as far as everyone's saying they're government can't keep a secret about anything. Everything can be found out. I'm sure there's some stuff that's covered up still, but as long as they push it off into the private industry.
But if that's true, then what exactly is in Area 51?
It's a military base where they test things. It's smart. What's there? Who knows? Who knows what's on any military base?
Exactly. It's one of their best kept secrets. They can actually keep a secret. It just depends
the secret
on
got
what the
out,
secret
didn't
is. Not really.
And I don't really think there's a whole lot going on there anymore. They're probably doing it in other places.
Doug Way
They've got plenty
grounds,
of bases around the world where there's no prying eyes.
Yep. So let's talk about Maury Island real quick. Maury Island happened here. So I watched all these different videos. I watched all these different reports. And what irritates me is facts. So, Howard Dahl and Chrisman was his boss. And Howard Dahl was on a boat in Maury Island, out in the Puget Sound, and he witnessed 6 craft. None of them crashed. They dropped sludge, or what looked like sludge.
I think they called it slag.
Yeah, he said it looked like molten rock. And some of it hit his boat, it killed his dog, and it injured his son's arm pretty severely. So, I believe Howard took pictures. If anything, he talked about it. He called his boss, Mr. Chrisman. The very next day, and this has happened in 1947, this is what many called the first actual Men in Black case. That was, I guess, actually publicized. So he took pictures. He told his boss, Chrisman, he was visited by one man in black who took him to a diner, and they had breakfast. Now, did Howard go to the diner, and that's where the man in black encountered him? Or did the man in black go to his house and invited him to breakfast, and they both went to the diner? Minor details. Either way, the man in black knows where you live, regardless. And that's where he was warned, bad things will happen if you talk about it. Well, it was too late because they got Kenneth Arnold involved, who was the one that witnessed UFOs over Mount Rainier and coined the term flying saucer. They got several involved. In the end, many know the story. The Air Force came in, they got some of the sludge, they put it on a plane, they were flying it to California, and the plane crashed.
Mm-hmm.
Longview.
Huh?
It crashed just outside of Longview.
Yep.
Oregon.
Yep. And then you've got the ones that, Howard or Chrisman, one of the two, recanted the story, said it was all made up BS, but then he turned around and said, you know what? I said it was a hoax because I was threatened. So, did it happen? I think it did. And I do believe that was the first actual documented case of a man in black. What's your thoughts, Barry?
That is the first, what many consider the first case of the man in black. Even though, as we were talking before the show, there are different things when different types of individuals in black have showed up at different times.
Right.
Or odd photographs were taken of an individual that was out of place as far as his wear of the kind of clothes he was wearing to the time of the photos.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which can be related to either time travel or man in black.
Right. There's a lot more to the story. We're not going to get into. We're only talking about the Men in Black aspect of it tonight. But you punch in Moore Island incident, you'll pull up a whole lot of details. I believe the publisher of Amazing Stories, or what's the one that's still out today? What's that magazine that's still out today that actually started in the 40s? Not Amazing Tales, but
you talking about the
yeah, it escapes.
Son of a gun! I normally have it on the top of my head. Fate magazine?
No, not Fate. Anyway,
Okay.
moving along. 1980, we have Peter. I can't pronounce his name. Rosowitz. We'll leave it at that. Was a professor. It was sitting in the library at the University of Pennsylvania, reading a UFO book. And no, sure, it's not Fate magazine. Actually, it might be. I don't think so.
Ray Palmer was the editor.
Yep, Ray Palmer. Okay, it is Fate then.
Yep.
So anyway, this professor is sitting reading a UFO book when a man in black sat next to him. Was curious about this one. This man in black asked him what he was reading, and he was a typical 6 foot tall, typical man in black. Most of them seem to be 6 foot tall. And he asked him what he was reading. He showed him the book, and he asked him, you interested in UFOs? And he said, not really. I don't really believe in UFOs. And the guy got mad. Now, since when have you ever heard of a man in black getting mad over somebody not interested in UFOs? I mean, that's a...
Maybe that's the way to deal with them.
That's a weird...
When they said you saw something, you go, that's ridiculous. Who would see something like that?
Right? And this man in black looked at him and said, how can you not be interested in probably one of the most interesting facts of the universe? And he calmed him down, and that was pretty much that. He said, good luck with you with your life. And he looked up and he realized there's nobody else in the library.
Yeah, he just disappeared.
The man in black had already disappeared. But no, he looked up and he realized all the people that had been in the library weren't there. And he got up and he walked to the other end of the library. Still nobody. He came back to his table and everything was back to normal. All the people were there again. And so that's kind of the first case of potentially an alternate reality.
Right.
Involving a man in black. Then we have Jim Templeton. So Jim Templeton was this case. Most people think of the United States when they hear these men in black stories. This one was actually in the UK, and it was Jim Templeton. He was a firefighter, was out in the field, took a picture of his daughter, and when the film was developed, it's the first case where there's actually a spaceman standing behind his daughter in this picture.
Oh,
and
yeah.
There was
the Solway Firth photos.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the picture was actually, the negatives were actually sent back to Kodak for analysis. And Kodak came out and said, there's nothing wrong with this film. The film was never altered. This is a perfectly valid picture. And it looks what appears to be a spaceman standing behind his daughter. A little bit away. But he went back to the fire department the next day, and a man in black approached him in his fire department. And they claimed to be government officials named number 9 and number 10. And they, yeah, ain't that weird? Kind of like J and K. But this was agent number 9 and number 10. So they wanted to see this field. And so he got in his car, they followed him, they went back to the place where he took the picture. And I'm trying to remember the details. They got mad because there was nothing there.
In that particular one, they got mad because they figured, because he told them when he took the picture that he didn't actually see the thing behind it.
Yeah, that's right.
It wasn't until it got developed that he saw what it was.
Yeah.
And they got pissed off.
They got pissed off
he
and
took
left.
him out there without actually seeing anything.
Right.
I seem to remember that it wasn't just one picture either. He took like 3 of the girl. And in the first one and the last one, there's no one there. But in the second one,
right,
you
there's
could
only
see him standing behind him.
It was only one picture.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, he got a phone call from a guy in Australia who had a Men in Black encounter at the same time he did, over a rocket site.
Now, do you think that these were like alien Men in Black, or were these like actual government agency Men in Black that were like, hey, we're testing a new rocket and we don't want anybody to actually know what it is. So
that one probably was government
Yeah,
saying,
that can make sense.
we don't want you seeing this rocket. It's top
and you
secret.
said you didn't actually see it, so we're good.
Right.
We're good. Just a crazy picture.
No, over the spaceman part, no. Since when do you have government agents saying I'm agent number 9? I'm agent number 10. They usually don't go by numbers. Usually. I think it's not possible, but
it's also the UK, and I'm not really sure how they work everything over there.
True. And then, of course, we have the famous Dan Aykroyd. So, Dan Aykroyd was making a movie in New York City. He got a phone call from Britney Spears. He went out. He was outside the studio, or outside on the street. He looked over. There was a black sedan. 3 men in black. One got out. He was 6 foot tall. Typical Men in Black. And they made eye contact, and the guy looked very menacing. Dan Aykroyd looked away, looked back, and car, men, everything was gone. They were making the TV series Out There. And shortly, I think the next day...
2 hours.
Huh?
2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours after that incident, he got a phone call from the director that they were canceling Out There.
And we're not going to release any of the ones that they had done up to that
and
point.
they weren't going to,
Right. It's it's the same thing with, there are these things that happen. I mean, look at Jesse Ventura's show.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing happened to him.
Is that why he canceled?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
he said that's exactly. They not only canceled his show, but he moved to Mexico to get away. That's what he said. He goes, I don't want to be around these people.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know the story about that one. So I've got
Just like
a question.
UFO hunters, they got too close to something.
They shut down Bill Bird and Bill Burns. That irritates me.
Bill Burns, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the terrible thing. When you look at it and you see that they interfere with things, everything else. I mean, I think every investigator or someone who is doing multiple work or doing these things have had computer problems, things missing on your computer. You get weird high frequencies. You're visited by something weird, and then you may be told to. There's one area code that is only used by the government. I'm not going to mention it by one area. And when you get a phone call from that thing and you see it on your phone, or you actually get a call and then someone else breaks into it and tells you something that you just don't want to hear, and you're like going, how did you do that? And then hangs up, and you're
Right.
like going, we are highly monitored, believe me.
Well, and usually, so if you're being monitored, and I'm sure they've got higher tech now, but it used to be if you heard clicks on your phone line, that was an indicator you're being monitored. I had that
That's
happen.
old school, man.
Oh, I had that happen in Georgia when I was stationed in Atlanta. They were monitoring my phone.
If you got a smartphone right now, you're being monitored. We're on,
Oh, yeah,
we're on
yeah,
the
yeah.
internet right now. We're being monitored.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we are being monitored. Same thing with if you get a smart TV. If you're sitting at your home, your camera is on.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then. So what do you think about the long-lasting shows, and why do you think they let some of them go through?
Like Ancient Aliens?
They're
Like
controlled.
Ancient Aliens or X-Files? Or
They're controlled.
I think they're manipulated.
Exactly.
You look at
Ancient Aliens isn't telling everybody what's happening right now. Ancient Aliens is telling you stories from 100, 300, 1,000 years
Absolutely.
ago.
Absolutely.
Right.
So they're not a threat.
So are
And
we
all
just
they
saying
are is
enough,
asking a question.
So are we
Yeah,
talking
what
there's
if?
enough
Yeah, what if?
misinformation that it throws you the other way?
And they're talking, most of the time they're talking theories anyway. They're not talking, I mean, come on, they've got that, and they're such a laughing stock with some of the stuff they do, like, and it's not a laughing matter, but when you sit there and ridicule a Native American chief over his beliefs.
Actually, we started looking at that again.
Yeah.
It isn't just natives.
No.
It's every
Single religion in the world. They absolutely believe that none of them held any merit whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really
Everything
weird.
was aliens.
It's really weird.
Back
Everything
then.
was alien.
They were all over the earth, walking around. Friend.
See,
Yeah.
and so no, I fully, yeah.
I think that George guy got probed too many times by PBS.
But that's the thing when you start making your
it's
show.
like the Lou Alzado show that was on History Channel. That was first originally what caused the thing about the Navy, which was the ATEP and the TTSA came out. Was formed out of that, and they had that TV show on History Channel, and they were talking about interviewing military pilots and things that people have seen and been on ships and seen UFOs or
Submerged.
USOs. And where's that show at?
Well, a lot of them disappeared. I mean, I think once they started actually, actually started talking reality, they got shut down.
Well, let's be truthful, though. Some
Yeah,
of them,
but then what happened is then
ratings
then,
do.
Yeah.
That's, but I also think that it is about what happened after that. We start hearing that, yes, these films were real.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and then all of a sudden, Mark Rubio and the government and the senator say, we want to know. And then they have a thing about it. And now, all of a sudden, just 2 days ago or 3 days ago, you got a release saying that, by the way, yes, we have been working on crashed vehicles.
Yep. Yeah, I got that released 2-3 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why the media hasn't gone insane over that statement, because I've seen it. It's just like an article that's within an article somewhere that I go to, and it's like, well, why isn't this front page news?
Well,
The
because
government's
they've got
admitting
us
that they have
looking
materials
somewhere
from
else.
crashed vehicles from not this planet. And it's like, well, yeah, so look what Trump said the other day. You know, who cares?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Joe, it's just like last year when the Pentagon released, we actually have crashed off-world craft. Nobody even flinched. The media didn't pick
no
it
one
up.
cared.
Murder hornets got more airtime.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
well, the media
Right,
didn't pick it up.
exactly.
Murder porn.
They were
Yeah.
more focused on politics than they were about something that actually is life changing. The fact that we actually do have alien craft at the Pentagon, and files of stuff that would I think honestly terrorize a whole lot of Americans. To be honest with you.
Well, that's the whole thing. The truth is an ugly thing, and that's why people talk about disclosure and everything else. Even the truth that you hear that's going on now, and I'm sorry, I'll just talk about Pizzagate, some of the other stuff. I mean,
Right.
people would not believe that. Just think about it. I mean, they're going to go, oh, no, I didn't hear that on the news. And the news says that's all crap, so that's what it is,
So I got to clarify,
But it's a
because
reality.
I got this scowl look from Cole. So maybe not the fact that there's UFOs, maybe not the fact that there's aliens, but the fact that aliens are abducting humans may be a terrifying
Oh, yeah.
factor for
Why?
some people.
Oh,
What do you mean,
yeah.
Why?
Because the fact that humans abduct humans, nobody gives a flying fuck.
Oh, no, I agree.
So why would they care if aliens are doing it?
Because they're not from here.
Because
So?
you know why?
And
Because
they're
Because they're not us.
Yeah, well, the bad thing about it is most of the people don't know that we are abducting, that humans are abducting those things,
I think in the last...
or they're
I think
turning
in
it baby.
I think in the last 5 years it's gotten a little more publicity, especially with dumbass that had the island that was,
All right, Epstein.
the
Yeah.
human trafficking. Epstein, there you go.
I'm sorry, but if you've touched a computer in the last 20 years and you didn't know that friggin' humans were being abducted,
People.
then, well, you should probably be shocked because you're not anything worth this world.
No.
Come on.
Hey, look.
Like,
Well, you know what? It's kind of like going this way. It's kind of like going, you got 411, everything else. But people always look at that as, and we still do look at it as a conspiracy type theory. They think that that's a conspiracist theory. That's not right.
Okay, well, we
so-
we will carry on this conversation after our break. We have to go to break, and we'll definitely pick up human trafficking.
You are listening
Because the
to
aliens are-
S4 on Spreaker.com.
with your host, Eric Cooper.
And welcome back to S4 as we are on our third hour of the show, talking about Men in Black, and actually we're going to talk about human trafficking here for a few minutes, just because Cole got worked up over human trafficking versus alien abduction.
Well, okay, so I agree. Alien abduction for... I can't say for everyone because there are contactees and I don't know what their deal is. And it's not fair for me to actually assume what their deal is.
Right.
So, but for the people who are actually consider themselves abducted, it's a horrible freaking thing.
It is.
But the problem isn't the fact that
like
people
rape.
don't know about it. It's the fact that the problem is they know they can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm. We can
That's
do
not going to change.
We can do shit about human trafficking.
To a point.
Yes.
Kinda.
That's the problem. People still think they can't. But no, but that's the mindset.
Right.
There's nothing they can do
Right.
about it.
So
And
here's what pisses me off is most people. So the Army started human trafficking awareness back in 2009.
I'm glad you said awareness.
Huh?
I'm glad you said awareness.
Yeah, I thought you were telling
Yeah.
us.
So the mindset with the military was we travel around the world. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
So we need to know what to look for. And so they started, all soldiers had to take human trafficking awareness training. Now, what many people think when they hear the word human trafficking is it only happens in Taiwan. It only happens in Indonesia. It only happens in Korea. Bullshit.
It happens
It's
in
a
Israel
it's a $17 billion industry in the United States of America.
And it happens in Cedar Woolley, Washington.
It happens
Absolutely.
in every zip code.
It happens everywhere.
We had those guys, though, at the
Yep.
AMPM
Yep.
that were giving out gift certificates to Gucci, to American Eagle, to all these companies, to girls that were willing to come to the van.
That's what kills me. It happens in every zip code. Whether it's labor
Yeah,
trafficking,
everywhere.
whether it's sex trafficking, it happens everywhere. So if you don't think human trafficking happens here, your damn head's buried in the sand.
Yeah, it's like going even back a long time ago, and I've got to mention this. Remember the milk cartons and how we had every milk carton, and you know how much milk we drink, right?
Right?
Had children on it.
Yeah.
They had
Yep.
missing children.
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
who in their right mind in a civilized place like the United States thinks that many children just go disappear?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even think about it. We didn't pay attention to it. No one said anything about it. So what happened is that yes, these things are being looked at. To tie it back into what we're talking about, aliens are doing it. There are some aliens out there that are eating humans.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, and we know that as a factual thing, but it's a hard thing to get anybody. It's like now. I mean, I'm sure there's people listening to the show going, "Oh, he just went right off the deep end."
No, but we have been trained to know that we are weaker than them. In all shapes and forms, other than the common cold.
Believe me.
We can survive that. But
Yes,
we are weaker
but that
than
goes
them.
back
Always.
to their old,
Aliens.
but that goes back to their old thing. They have
Aliens
made
can
us
die.
weak. They work on weak and us making us weak because of that's all part of the programming. That's all part of the
Absolutely.
that they do.
You can't control a strong population.
Right.
But
Well,
what I'm
so
saying
what-
is, I don't see us being terrorized by it as a whole, because what's the point?
well, the sleepers that are
Why
sleeping.
be afraid of something you can't do anything about?
Mm-hmm.
Just accept it and move
I don't
on.
think people are terrorized by the fact that there's all these people missing. It's just when people start to think about it and they think about the actual numbers, it'll blow your mind.
Yeah.
And it's easier for people to go, well, it hasn't happened to me.
Yeah, well, you know, the weird stories that you have is that you see these children, I mean, and we have seen this in the last year, that are in underground areas that have been found and are being taken and brought back up.
Yeah, well, it goes right back to it goes right back to the not in my backyard mentality. It doesn't happen here.
Yeah.
You know,
Right, exactly.
emergency
It
management.
doesn't happen.
Emergency management's the same way. Emergency management has got the mindset that why should we prepare for a disaster when the volcanoes are sleeping, or you know, an earthquake's not going to happen. It goes back. You know, human trafficking, same thing. Human trafficking don't happen here. What?
Right,
Did you know that
exactly.
there
But
was
it's
an
the worst
earthquake?
thing in the world here.
There was an earthquake.
You know?
Well, they had a
Alberta.
case not long ago in Georgia where they went into a place, and it was the ICE agents went into a place, and they found 29 kids.
Yep.
Yes.
And it barely made the news. It did make the news, but it was, I mean, no one talked about it. And then there was another one like a week or two later where ICE went somewhere, and they found a bunch of kids. And now guess what? Now ICE is getting shut down.
Exactly.
Think about that.
100% right. 100% right. You know, and so they're being tortured and marketed and done all this stuff, and there is a thing at it. So when people actually get to hear the stuff, it is so frightening and so scary to them of what is going on and what has been going on under their noses that constant disgonists will appear. They'll go, there is no way that's true. Even though it's hitting them right in the face, you know. They're going to say, nope, nope, nope. Just like when we do research. We research stuff, and we go and go, wow, that's incredible. That's got to be a lie. And then you start looking more and more at it. You go, wow. I mean, and that's why there's shows like S-4 and other shows out here, like, you know, all these others that talk about all these bizarre things. But to many, they listen to it and they go, huh, what a story. You know, if they were hearing it. So people who listen to it, understand it, want to know more about it, want to look into this stuff and be able to know the truth. But there are so many people that are just like going, nope, doesn't happen, don't want to hear about it, that's all bull crap, and that's the way it goes. And those are the people when it hits them in the face because it's been protected. It's just like going, look here, folks, we're on TV. Look at what my right hand is doing. Oh, you can't see my left hand, can you?
Right.
You know?
And
so,
what they need to get is it's not a political thing. It's both parties. It's not a right or left issue. This is not political. It's an American issue because there's been politicians on both sides, and yes, politicians are involved. They're making money off human trafficking, child sex trafficking.
Yes.
They're making money off
But it's not
this.
an American. You know, yes,
No,
it's happening in
it's
America,
everywhere.
but it's also happening worldwide.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and the people that are involved in it will shock the shit out of you.
But I only say that because people don't think it happens here. They think it happens anywhere but here. But guess what, folks? It's a $17 billion industry in our own country, in the United States of America.
Yeah.
That's a fact. Look it up.
Yep.
Hey, so I have a really strange question. Okay, so when we're talking about Men in Black, when we're talking about gray aliens, okay, I heard this and I have no idea if it's true. So if anybody knows, I'd love to know. If you have a high-powered, like 12,000 lumen ultraviolet flashlight, okay, all right. So they told me that if you were to shine those in the eyes, that they'll leave.
With hybrids,
I think anybody would leave if you shine a flashlight in their eyes like that.
That's true.
No, my mom wouldn't. She would have just slapped me silly.
So with some hybrids, they won't leave, but their eyes will shine.
Okay.
Yes.
They'll reflect back. They will. They actually have shining eyes, and without.
Right.
So you're not in the studio, but Cole is now shining a light in Kayla's eyes. Anyway,
you can always just shine the light in their eyes, and when they're blind, you just stab them in the head with a pointy stick.
Absolutely, yes, folks. Aliens do die.
I guess what I'm saying is, do you think that the ultraviolet light might interfere with them more than like your typical flashlights or your?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I really don't. Now, a 308 or a 9mm or a 45 caliber pistol will definitely leave.
When you heard this, like, did they just walk away or did they like hiss and run?
The person that told
if
me
you take
this,
the incident that happened in
person that told me this
1955
just
here in
straight
Kelly,
came up to me,
Kentucky,
told me that, and then walked away.
these guys blew apart these aliens, and they got up and started running around.
Oh, it was like the whack-a-moles. I remember that one. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Okay, pull your stick through the eyeball.
Yeah,
They have big eyes.
Okay, hold on. They told you this and walked away.
Okay, so the person that told me this came up to me. I was walking downtown. They came up, they stopped in front of me, and they told me if you shine an ultraviolet flashlight that's about 12,000 lumens into an alien's eyes, they'll run away. Then the guy turned around and left.
What kind of freaking downtowns do you walk in? Jesus Christ, woman! Like,
that was probably an alien plant that was wanting you to tell somebody about that.
Right.
All right. So hey, get your 12,000
disinformation
ultraviolet lights.
So Sherry wants to. So Sherry wants to know.
That was a clue to look into it, because that may be a way to get them. But are you abducted when you're sitting in a room with black lights?
Right.
That may be the key to saying, hey, everybody, go back to the 70s and 60s and put black lights in your room when you're sleeping. Turn them on, and you won't get abducted. Who knows?
You also won't get a good night's sleep.
No. Now, Sherry wants to know, what if you tried to kill a man in black? Here's the problem with that. All the cases that we're discussing, there is a form of mind...
There's not just one.
No. There have been cases where there's just one, but there seems to be a form of mind control going on with most of them.
Yes.
Most of them, because like I said, they can be across the street. You don't see them. You just have this impending feel of terror or an impending fear. You don't know why. You just have this feeling of terror that's ingrained in you all of a sudden. So I don't, when it comes to trying to kill the man in black, I don't think they're thinking about that at the moment. And the men in black are gone before you can even go, hey, I could try killing the guy.
Right.
That sounds a little bit like the Sasquatch lore.
It does sound.
You sense them, you get afraid, you look at them, and you can't. Guys with guns put the guns down, and all of a sudden, boom, they're gone.
Right.
Men in black are doing the same thing.
It's the same kind of mind control.
Exactly.
Has there ever been a story of anyone trying?
Huh?
Has there ever been a story of anyone trying?
No.
I will tell you the one story that I told about this guy following us and chasing us down this hill, and we just appeared in this driveway. When that happened, I had my pistol on my side, and so did the abductee. We were both armed.
Mm-hmm.
When we were sitting in the truck in the driveway going, how the hell we get back there? And by the way, what the hell is that sitting on your bench? And we got out of the truck, wobbled around a little bit, felt like we had sea legs. Right. And the next thing you know, we walked over to the bench, and our pistols are laying there.
Mm-hmm. That's creepy.
You got took.
Yeah. At least they left your pistols.
Now, do you think that there are some people out there that it wouldn't work on, though? I mean,
well, that's the question
that
I ask. That's the question that I ask quite a lot. There are some that believe that. We call it in the paranormal field and in ufology or anything else the high strangeness cases.
Right.
And these high strangeness cases, I think some people that are awake can have a higher frequency and understand that they are equal to them. Their crap doesn't work on them as much. But
well, and I don't think the Men in Black would go to those people. I think the Men in Black,
right?
They know who they can influence and who they can't. If you can't influence them.
Well, do you think that they're scared of those
make
people?
Their presence that they seem like they have an ability to still go to these people, but they handle things in a different manner. I think that they are more along the lines of saying, "Here, if you don't do this, we can take you and put you on a planet in a cage where you'll be."
Here's the thing. Let's look at Bill Burns for a second. Bill Burns, he got a phone call. He didn't get a visit, and they didn't. And they'd already shut his show down before Bill even knew it was shut down. So they went to his producer, and they threatened the producer, and then they called and basically taunted Bill. So maybe Bill's one of the ones that they knew they couldn't terrify out of his show. I mean, maybe.
Exactly.
So they went to a different source.
So yeah, they
went to the source of the show, and then all they had to do was tell Bill.
But the producer didn't tell Bill. It was the Man in Black or whatever the
so
the one that shut their show down.
Did the producer have the ability at that point to tell?
I don't know.
Or did they do something that made it so that he wasn't able to talk actually at that point?
I don't know. That part I don't know. But
because the problem is, if he doesn't have a reason for him cutting off that show, what's he supposed to say to the guy?
True.
Network canceled us. We're done.
But that's what doesn't make sense. It's not about ratings. You know, like we were talking about earlier. A lot of shows, I can see it's not a Man in Black deal. It's because your ratings suck. We're taking you off the air. Bill Burns had one of the highest rated shows out there. He was going places. That show was phenomenal.
Right.
So there's no reason, rating wise, for them to pull that show. So what's a producer going to say?
Yeah.
Well.
Other than we got cut, I don't know why. Or maybe he did know why, because he got threatened.
Okay, I'm just going to throw this out too, though. So, you got Netflix that's reincarnating a lot of these shows that just randomly got canceled for no freaking reason. Okay?
Right.
So, do you think that maybe there's some of them that will just disappear, or they'll say, hey, we're going to reboot, like, let's say Firefly, and then all of a sudden it's just not talked about again? I mean, because there's a reason they got canceled in the first place. So what about all these services now that are trying to bring back everything?
They're bringing back shows that have already been on. You know, you can get the old episodes.
I think part of that is getting the original actors back into those shows. I mean, some shows are made by the actors. The actors make that show. Will I watch X-Files again if David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson weren't in it? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
They tried that. They named it Project Blue Book, and it wasn't great.
They won't ever be in it together again.
Well, no, that's my point, though. They can bring back a show, but if it's not going to get the same ratings because the original actors ain't in it, why bring back the show?
She said yes, he said no.
Yeah. Damn, David Duchovny.
Well, to be fair, after his last show that he did for a while, I can't see him in that role anymore.
Did he go into sex?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Ew.
All right, so we're already at 9:24, and one case I do want to discuss, which I thought was awesome. I want to talk about this a little more. That's the Shane, and this happened in 2008. And that's the Shane Silvar case. So this happened in Niagara Falls. Shane Silvar was a hotel manager. His bellboy or security, whichever version of the story you hear, came and grabbed him and said, "There's a UFO outside." So they went out, they saw this UFO, and all of a sudden the next day, his entire staff, because they weren't there, is freaking out because these men in black came to the hotel looking for Shane and the bellboy. Now, what's unique about this, they actually caught the men in black on a video footage.
Yeah, I've seen that. Walking in the doors of the place.
Yep.
And they're dressed like they're from the 1950s with the fedoras and the overcoats and the black suits.
Is that the room with the glass doors that they
Yep.
came in? And okay, yeah, I saw that one too.
And that was, as recent as 2008, so we know they're still doing the same thing. And so now let's talk about paracons. Because we've heard of all these, paranormal conferences where you actually get visited. Maybe not by the men in black, but by very strange people. I know you've encountered that, Barry.
Yes. Yeah.
We've had aliens come to ours, aliens, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we always have, in the 4 years that we ran Forest Moon Paracon, we always had very unique individuals at all of them that showed up.
Not just Paracon either. Like even the small event that we did, the fair.
Oh
We had
yeah,
an energy vamp.
yeah. I mean, they find you.
Yes, they do find you, and even in some conferences there are government people there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they are very noticeable, and a lot of the people, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of people will talk in smoking areas.
Oh yeah.
They come up to you in the smoking area. There's more stuff that goes on in the smoking area in the conference than itself.
Well, that's because smokers are social people. There's been studies done on that. More gets talked about, more deals are made, and more discussions go on in smoking areas than anywhere else in a conference, anywhere else in a business. Just because smokers are social people.
That's why I smoke.
Right?
Totes.
But yeah, and in 2008, and these men in black still look like the original Men in Black.
What if they are still the original Men in Black? What if there's only like 5 of them in the entire world, and they're just the same people, like aliens throughout history?
And they're 500 years old. Okay, but yeah, and before we get too late into the show here, let's talk about the Middle Ages, because we keep thinking it's weird that the Men in Black only really did they really start in the 1940s? No, not at all.
Yeah.
I think there's been Men in Black since the beginning of time, essentially.
The first one was
Yeah.
Oog.
Huh?
The first one was Oog.
Oog?
Oog.
And he was wearing a black fur.
Yep.
Black bear fur. Yeah.
Black bear fur.
Yeah.
Was it you or was it Barry that was talking about Middle Ages?
Well, okay, I had the
I was
question.
telling you about that.
Yeah. Okay.
And I had the question that, like, I can't see it being possible that they started in the mid-40s. Like,
No.
they had to, there has to have been, and whether they developed from something else into that,
Right.
but, like, even, okay, if you think of Egypt, okay, you think of the people building the pyramids. Obviously, the pyramids had, there's no way, we're human, we're not so that smart. Let's fully admit that right now.
Yep.
Right?
We didn't build them.
We didn't build them.
Well, but we probably helped, right? But you had to keep those people from asking too many questions.
I would think they
So there would be a certain
level of fear or a
Yeah.
certain level of coercion.
Yeah,
that
so
you have to do this.
There
Listen
had
to
to
the
be
overlord?
someone
Yep.
Yeah.
to set that in motion. And I would imagine that's their job.
Mm-hmm.
So, it just makes sense to me that they existed then.
I imagine. I mean, so in the Middle Ages, we had, black cloaked individuals?
Yeah, well,
with
it was
sticks?
during the Black Plagues.
Right.
They'd have these towns where everyone comes sick, and people would see these figures out in the fields around the town with black cloaks on, and they'd usually have some type of wand or a long stick or something, and I think Barry mentioned that they would have smoke coming out of them, some of the reports. And these people were terrified of these black cloaked figures. In fact, I think that's where the whole idea of the Grim Reaper came from.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, they're in the field, so the Reaper's got the sickle, but they would show up, and then people would start dying, and people were terrified of these figures in black.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think, and so Egypt aside, because we'd have to do a whole lot more research on finding out who was wearing black when the pyramids were built, because black seems to be the common denominator with all of them. But do you think that's the first case of Men in Black?
No.
That's the first case that I've heard of.
That's
people
documented.
being terrified of a black cloaked figures.
Right.
I'm sure it's a fashion statement, maybe. I don't know. And like you're talking about the figures, like say, let's assume that the Men in Black are aliens, and in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, they're terrifying people. They said, okay, we wear these suits, these coats, these hats, the glasses, we blend in. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe in their society, fashion doesn't change every 5 years.
Right.
Maybe the society is so old that fashion doesn't change for 1,000 years. So they wouldn't even be thinking of, gee, my clothes look old.
No.
I'm not fitting in anymore. They wouldn't understand that.
Okay, so the other thing that you got to think about with that is, I know that I go Star Trek-y sometimes, but if you
Really?
think about
Really, Star
them
Trek?
visiting a planet that they haven't been to, they always replicate clothes to look like people on that planet, right? And half of the time they do it in a manner where everybody goes, where'd you get those from?
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because what they have, their knowledge of it is 40, 50 years older than what they're wearing that time.
Yeah.
Or it's in the future from what they're wearing then. So, I mean, with space travel, maybe you sent a probe out to look, but your probe was 40 or 50 years there before you. So all of the clothing that you have to disguise yourself and fit in would match 40 or 50 years sooner.
And
Well, if you're going to pick a fashion, the black suit, the tie, it almost goes in every era. So it wasn't a bad choice.
It's a generic fashion.
Yeah.
In all reality.
So there's a little thinking there,
if Kayla's theory there is correct, though, that means in 2040, these guys are going to come out in black Janko jeans hanging down to their knees. Really
Skinny jeans.
Yeah, no, because we're talking the 90s here. So the Janko jeans with the wide legs.
Bell bottoms?
Pretty much, but the ones that were 4 feet wide at the bottom almost.
Right.
And then baggy t-shirts,
Elephant
backwards
belts.
hat.
At least the ones that are coming from now time,
But all black.
they'd be wearing Bahama shorts and have a man bun. I mean,
I'm hoping.
I can agree with that, Kayla. I mean, anybody with a man bun is probably an alien.
Yeah.
maybe that's why they're all vegan.
I guess
They
that
can't
goes
digest
by
it.
man bun. They go with my man bun idea.
Kayla's dad is an alien, I guess.
I mean, who knows? They may have always had man buns, but there was always hiding them under the fedoras.
No, but a lot of the
That's a good
cases,
idea.
they don't have any hair, no eyebrows.
Yes.
Maybe that's why they're here. They're jealous of our hair. They're trying to figure it out.
Oh, you're bringing up the beard thing
some
now?
of the times too.
Men in Black don't have beards.
Nope.
They don't have long hair?
No, they don't have. They're very clean shaven. They're very. And some of the hair is that they do see on it is very short crop, very military style. But you know the thing that is odd about them is that you know, I don't know if you guys have ever worn a suit in the middle of the summertime or anything else.
Yep.
But it gets extremely hot and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And their wear is not that way. So when they're out, most people say that it's unusual that they do not sweat.
They don't sweat, no.
Yeah.
They don't have the same circulatory system we do, it seems, because, again, they don't sweat.
Or there's air conditioning
They don't
in the
sweat.
Ray-Bans.
The built-in air conditioning in the suit?
In the Ray-Bans.
Oh, okay.
Could be.
Air
All
bands.
about the
But,
Ray-Bans.
yeah.
They're air bands.
Yeah.
And
And
you still want to go with the Men in Black oddities. There's one I heard one time where there was a guy and his wife and a couple kids, and they were out in the desert somewhere, New Mexico, Arizona, who knows where it was, one of the national monuments, and they thought they had saw a UFO, and they took a picture, and they were talking about it, and it was the daylight. And, you know, you could see a long ways out there, and you could see a car coming down this road, this dirt road, and huge dust cloud, right?
Yep.
Car pulls right up to where they're at. The guys get out, and the guy said he noticed that the car looked like it had just come out of a car wash.
Yeah, I
There was no
remember that
dirt on
story.
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the guys are wearing suits. It's 110 degrees out, and they're not sweating, and the car is just perfectly clean.
Yeah, like a
Which is
drop
impossible.
out of the sky. Because, you're
Yeah.
driving across the desert with a cloud of dust. There wasn't even dust on the windshield. It's a black car. You know, y'all know how black
Right.
cars are with dust. It should have been dirty.
Yep.
But no, it was like it was out of a
Exactly.
showroom. Yep, I remember that story.
What weirds me
Yeah.
out is they attend funerals
Huh?
of people that died in circumstantial ways.
Mm-hmm.
That a lot of people believe they had something to do with. They attend their funeral too.
Well, yeah, they want to catch anybody else.
Well, yeah,
who
the
says
government
shit.
does that too, and the police do that. If you have somebody that dies that you're interested in, you want to find out who his closest contacts and cohorts are, you go to the funeral and you take pictures of everybody there.
Right.
Cohort. You
Somebody
don't go to
there
the
is
funeral.
probably involved with him or knows something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Not
Maybe
if they're
they're all
smart.
just really, really big Johnny Cash fans.
no.
That was bad.
All right. That-
You know what? I the whole week before this show, I tried to think of a good Johnny Cash joke for this, and I just couldn't come up with one that did him.
Justice.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it just. And you just destroyed it. Like
Yeah, I that wasn't great.
you should be whipped for that.
So, Barry, do you remember the 1983 Mike Reynolds case?
No, I don't believe I do.
So Mike
I'm
Reynolds,
sorry.
Mike Reynolds moved. He went to a bar where he met an Air Force major who worked at Area 51. This Air Force major was about to retire. He told this guy he had a manuscript that he wanted published. A manuscript of all these Area 51 secrets. I mean, yeah, you talk about drawing the attention of Men in Black, obviously that would. You're about to reveal Area 51 stuff? Yeah. So, this guy gets excited, Mike Reynolds does, and he agrees to help him. So, I believe they were in Nevada. I mean, Area 51, so yeah, I assume they're probably in Nevada. He's going to do a radio interview. Mike is. He books this radio interview with the station manager. The station manager gets visited by the Men in Black and threatened. He cancels the show. So, Mike says, well, that was weird, basically. And he agrees to meet a publisher who agrees to publish this manuscript in Texas. He drives to Texas. He's followed by 2 black cars to Houston. He pulls into his hotel. He's approached by the Men in Black who threaten him and tell him, no, don't publish the book. The mannerisms were inhuman, and they just disappear. So he gets checked in. He thought that was weird. I'm not going to worry about them. He left. Now this is a dumbass. He leaves the manuscript in the trunk of his car. He's checking into his hotel. He goes, oh, hell, I left the manuscript in the trunk of the car. I better go get it. He goes out to the trunk of the car. He opens it. Manuscript's gone. He turns around. The men in black are right behind him. So they threaten his family. The major's threatened as well. Everything's dropped. Manuscript's gone. Not going to get published. Major's threatened. He doesn't. He refuses to even talk about it again. So there you go. They threaten your family. I think they know that if they threaten you, most people that are ufologists, they ain't going to take that serious. Like, whatever, I die. You kill me, my followers are going to believe the story even more. You start threatening the kids, the wife, the parents, whatever is the closest to you, which they know, you're going to take them more serious. I'm with Cole. The kid's going to be right here. We're doing our show.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's the fact that, like, you threaten my kids, they will never find you again. I don't care who you are.
No, they're not going to walk out that door.
No. Fuck that.
Yep.
You are now furniture.
Yeah, we got bone furniture here.
I got another weird, bizarre, off-the-wall question here.
Huh.
So
They
do
always
you
are.
think that when a man in black dies, his spirit is like the Hat Man?
Jesus Christ.
Really?
That was a far jump.
That's where you went with it?
No, but I was just... Okay.
They look like Hat Man without being Hat Man.
Yeah, so do you think that that's a way that they spy on people too?
Oh, maybe Hat Man is actually a man in black without appearing physically.
Right? Like all you catch is its shadow?
Mm-hmm. That's a good theory, though.
How many areas has Hatman been seen in?
Huh?
How many areas has Hatman been seen
I've
in?
never really studied Hat Man.
Hat Man's been seen everywhere. All over the
I've
world.
seen him twice here.
So it makes you wonder if we
So,
know.
okay, so then yes, I could see that. But like, when
maybe the man in black is a Hat Man before he appears physically in physical form.
I've only ever heard of the Minnesota story about him, so...
Yeah, all the stories of mentioning them appearing and disappearing, and maybe, okay, if they have ships they can cloak, why couldn't they cloak a car? Or even
absolutely.
themselves?
Right.
I think that's, and taking it a step further, we think Bigfoot's interdimensional. What if these guys ain't interdimensional as well? I hate saying that because I hate sounding like I think everything's interdimensional. Well,
I think that would only work for someone that's not in this field, though.
yeah.
Psycho.
Because someone who's not in this, or someone who's in this field, if they saw Hatman and he was being threatening, all they'd say is, "Your hat looks stupid." Fuck you.
Right. But you're looking at the Dan Aykroyd case. How fast? There's no way in hell Dan Aykroyd. He looks away. He looks back. Gone. This guy was out of the car. If the guy was in the car staring at Dan Aykroyd, I could see him just hitting the gas and gone. But this guy had to get back in the car and then the car take off. No, the car disappeared. The guy disappeared. And that's not the first time. It happens all the time. The men in black and their vehicle, whatever they got, whatever evidence you got, is gone in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. There are, there's several cases like that. I mean, and UFO investigators or paranormal investigators have come across them before. I mean, back in '76, I believe it was Dr. Hubert Hopkins had an encounter with him, and
yeah, that's the one with the coin, right?
right,
Mm-hmm.
and
Go ahead and tell that one.
One of these. Well, it's so different that his case was, he was actually working on a strange flying object case that was an unidentified craft. The workers had missing time. There was 2 workers. They found themselves miles further down the road from where they were. And they were like, a lot of people thought they were doing
he was working on a UFO case in Maine.
Right, exactly. It was.
He received a phone call from a mysterious guy that said he was another UFO investigator, and he said, "Come on over." Well, as soon as he hung up the phone, there was a knock on the door. I mean, really?
There were no cell phones back then, guys.
The guy came in. He's the one that had no hair, no eyebrows, was extremely pale, had the black suit. Hopkins' dog actually reacted, which, to me, anytime you have animal reaction, animals, especially dogs and cats, can sense a bad person, let alone an inhuman person. I mean, he was threatened, and I believe this is the case where this man in black told him.
The coin.
He told him, reach in your pocket and pull out a coin. He pulled out the coin. He said, look at the coin. The coin turned silver. It turned like a bluish tint and disappeared in his hand.
Right.
And then he was told, the Betty and Barney Hill case? And, of course, him being a ufologist, he said, yeah. He said, well, Barney Hill doesn't have a heart, much like you're not going to have...
Not much like you don't have that coin anymore.
Yeah, much like you don't have that coin anymore. And he was encouraged that you might want to stop what you're doing, burn all of your UFO files, or I'll be back.
Yep, and he did. He got rid of everything. Until years later, when he was like half dead, and he was like, "Hey, this happened."
Right.
Right. When he stopped his whole research and everything else, but I think they were told him that it was something like, "Hey, look, do you or anyone else will ever see that coin on this planet ever again?"
Right.
And do the same with your heart.
I'm trying to find the case.
I think that's what they basically told him. I mean, we have the ability to do that to his heart.
To anything. Yeah.
And, that's the weird thing. When we look at Men in Black, we look at them as some of them may be real humans working for some unknown agency. And then others seem to be extraterrestrial in ways. And
I think you could tell the difference, though.
No,
Keel.
I guess
Keel
that's what
also.
I was trying to say, though, is do you think that they're extraterrestrial, or do you think that they're like ancient race?
I'm gonna go on a theory here.
That's kind of tough.
I'm gonna go on a theory here and say I think they're not. I think they're extraterrestrial, but I think they're kind of like we have the Secret Service, we have our own government agencies, the FBI, the CIA. What if they're not an agency that works for, say, the Greys, or or what if they work? What if they work for the Galactic Federation? What if they work for what we call a consortium? They are the agency.
They're the hand of justice.
They're the hand that comes down, and you guys saw too much. You're going to reveal too much. We need to take it. And they have to threaten humans because humans won't listen otherwise.
Right.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. Every day on the internet, there are 1,000 different people telling you that they've got a photograph of something or they've had an experience, and they're telling them. So why are they even bothering anymore?
Well, because
I think they're bothering the ones that have the most.
The real ones.
The real ones, exactly.
Either that, or they're the people that
I
will
think
get
they
the
have
most
a list
people to
of.
listen to them.
If they have men in black that are keeping people from giving out any information about real events, maybe they also have men in black that aren't necessarily dressed in black that are typing things up on the internet saying, hey, look at this photo. Look at this. Here's my experience. They're putting a bunch of disinformation out there.
Right.
Right, exactly.
So that you can't, it's wheat from the chaff kind of thing.
So real quick,
if you look,
real quick, we have 10 minutes left. I want to bring this last case up because this case, he actually threatened the guy's wife. And that was in 1967, Robert Richardson. He hit a UFO in the road, Toledo, Ohio. He reported it to APRO. He took the metal. He sent it off to be analyzed. He was visited by a man in black. 1953, black Cadillac. The men in black were pissed off because he didn't have the metal. They wanted that piece of metal. So they told him, look, if you value the beauty of your wife, she doesn't have to be that beautiful, give us the metal. Make sure we get the metal back. And they'd left. He never heard from them again. But, I mean, that's the only case I found where they actually threatened and specifically mentioned how beautiful his wife was. But they basically said, pretty much word for word, that if you appreciate the beauty of your wife, then get us that piece of metal. But we have so many people on YouTube, so many people that post pictures on their websites, and yeah, are they threatened? No, because the video is crap. The picture is photoshopped. I think the ones that are actually getting threatened are the ones that are too close to the truth of something, that actually have a valid video, a valid picture that shouldn't be released. I think those are the ones that get threatened.
well, you know that, and this was another funny one, is that investigator John Keel encountered men in black while investigating a Mothman case.
Okay, I could see that because Mothman's such a mysterious issue. What if Mothman isn't some kind of creature that escaped from a UFO that we ain't supposed to see anyway?
And they're like,
Right, exactly. But, you know,
Bill got out.
the investigator Keel believes that the men in black are feels that UFO, men in black, ghosts, and all sorts of paranormal phenomena are all linked to some extra-dimensional force.
Right.
And I kind of agree with that in a way. You know, there is some mysterious projects, mysterious things that are out there that are so dark and mysterious, and so are the men in black. You know,
Right.
They are just henchmen. I think they've been around for centuries, though. I mean, I think they've been around for a long time.
Well, I think
they're here to completely control the political, religious, and scientific institutions.
I think the Galactic Federation, the Consortium, whatever you want to call whatever the alien council is watching the planet, watching the human race. I think it's been around since the beginning of time as well. And I do think, do you want to use the word henchmen? I don't know if they're henchmen or, again, if they're just trying to keep the secrets that humans ain't ready for or humans don't need to know about. Maybe it's a weapon the talking monkeys don't need to play with.
We do.
No. But real quick, Sherry says, do you think the men in black have anything to do with reptilians? I think they have to do with every race. I don't think it's just a reptilian thing. Sure. I think it's an alien thing.
Yeah, I think it is. It's all kind of race. And, you know, the point that Joe was making about them knowing everything and everything else, the biggest point about it for me is we have to remember that if you believe in the treaties that were talked about and when they came to Eisenhower and they originated this treaty,
right?
That one of the things that was in the treaty, exactly, the Grenada Treaty, and when it was made, what was the one thing? Yes, you can abduct some of our humans.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But you have to give us a list of who you're abducting.
Mm-hmm. Well, why do you think that certain people like... Oh, okay.
We have like 5 minutes left. Barry,
okay, really quick. I've been thinking all night long. You're saying, okay, the men in black only come to the people who are getting close to the truth, and they're the ones that are harassed and followed. And I'm thinking, well, we've hit on a lot of topics tonight, and we might have gotten close to something. How many of us are going to have a visit here?
I think.
Or is this show even actually going out over the airwaves? They might be blocking it. We wouldn't know.
Oh no, we have followers from around the world. But honestly, I think we're small beans compared to, say, Coast to Coast or some of the bigger shows. Who's to say Art Bell, when he was alive, didn't get threats and Men in Black visitations? We won't know. But Barry, what's going on Into the Fire this week?
This weekend Into the Fire, I am holding off my guest, and I am going to. I mentioned my good friend who passed, Angelia Shear, and before we went on the podcast, I did 6 2-hour shows with Angelia. She's a very big guest on the show and talked about a lot of different things. And I'm going to just replay one of those shows.
Okay.
I'll be on the podcast. Billy and I'll do the podcast, and we're going to just let that go as an honor of her to listen to that show, and we'll talk about her a little bit, I think.
Perfect. So
nice, a tribute show.
A tribute show. Sounds good.
Yeah, exactly.
You have our condolences.
Absolutely.
Thank you all much. She was quite the person. She was one of those type of people that everybody just loved, and she became part of our family.
Good.
And,
make sure you post a link to that in FMP, so our FMP members can go listen to the tribute.
I'd be more than happy to.
Next week, everyone will be back on for the roundtable in February. My birthday is on Thursday, so it's going to be a busy week. And on that note, as long as we survive future snow coming up, and I don't think it's...
or if we survive the Men in Black, that's going to happen here soon.
Right? All right, so thanks for listening, everyone. Again, our fundraiser is an FMP. It's on my profile. It goes until the end of February, and then it'll be cut off. If you want to join the team, hit me up. I'll send you but you have to be local, and I will get you an application. And everyone stay safe. And remember, keep your eyes to the skies.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S-4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.